Welcome, everybody. We're back with EGFC Season 4, starting off the spring split. We are officially in Week 9. I'm Viking, aka Tyler Schroed, here with Nerds Corner, new to the broadcast. Very excited to have him with us, and very excited to start off the spring split with a great slate of matches. Today, we are going to be having a full schedule of matches, 4, 6, and 8 p.m., or 8 and 10 p.m., so it'll be a long day of Counter-Strike, but a great one. We'll start off with DePaul and UConn at 4:30. We'll take a little bit of a break at that 6:20 slot. Marquette and Montana. Montana, new to the league, will start off at 8 o'clock, followed by Idaho, also new to the league, and RIT. But we're kicking it off today with DePaul and UConn here on Ancient. You can see DePaul on the T side, with UConn starting off on the CT side.
Trades are already going out, and it's just going to be a terrorist win really quickly as they just rush in.
Yeah, I mean, DePaul is one of our strongest teams. They are by far in the standings, just the number one slot. So we can expect to see a pretty strong, just general attack, especially given that it is their map pick. So they have the, I guess, pleasure and honor of starting off on the T side. UConn, though, has had this huge resurgence over the course of the fall. They started off a little bit rough trying to get their rosters together, and then ended up being the second place team overall. So we can see them coming in, defending their sites pretty well, but DePaul finding those trades, and it's already 4-4.
I mean, having a couple players down, there we go. T side loses 2 more. They're pushing in. Seems as though there's on better footing, right? So DePaul is in a little bit of a rough spot here, especially with one more. The trade coming out as Kenry takes one more out, and that is going to be the first round win for our CTs. That's Connecticut, right?
Yeah, the UConn squad starting off strong there. I mean, it's tough to get the attacks in on Ancient. I mean, it's just like any other situation. You start off on T side, you're going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage, but certainly the trend has always kind of favored the team that's a little bit more aggressive, honestly. But UConn coming into that position on the CT side and doing an excellent job of kind of stealing their way half through that. So again, you see DePaul on the T side, UConn is on the CT side. So we'll see that swapped over in just a second. But already we see some of those that attack coming into the A site. DePaul this time getting much better present. And we see that bomb coming on the site and looking pretty good mid round.
2-3. DePaul's looking better. I mean, the constant back and forth is very noticeable in this game, especially because you need to worry about like buying, selling, and I believe that was the first rifle round of the game, right?
It is. We're 1-3 right now in favor of DePaul University. So we skipped a couple of those rounds early on, but immediately getting into it, UConn was able to take on that first before going down to DePaul. Again, DePaul super dominant. There's a reason that they're 11-1 overall compared to UConn's 9-3, and they're so good at executing on everything as they get to it. And you can see that they're getting those early frags. UConn kind of on their back foot here, and they're obviously on a save, so they're just trying to do whatever they can. You see DeSovo taking out Def there through the smoke. UConn definitely in a position where they can do a lot of economic damage and keep DePaul at that lighter buy. But DePaul so far, I mean, you can just see from the scoreline, pretty dominant.
With the plant down already, it's going to be a really difficult situation for them. With only 2 players, I mean, we could see some crazy things, but it's difficult. I believe that one of the CTs picked up an AK, and we know how powerful that can be. The one-tap potential is there. But with a full stack, AKs, and I believe an AWP in the hands of DePaul, it's almost impossible. It seems like a mountain to climb. And so I believe everyone is going to be saving. They're going to try and keep that AK, especially because, aforementioned, the potential is there for them to either hero rifle next round or buy up with their team and hopefully get that economy starting to roll. As Connecticut is now down by 3 rounds, especially this early on. I mean, it's going to be stressful for them.
Certainly can be. I mean, we talked a little bit about how on the T side can present like a degree of a disadvantage until you start to get that momentum. DePaul building up that death ball momentum, already doing an excellent job, as you can see, obviously, by the score line. And UConn just trying to do anything they can. You can see this is not the ideal gun situation for them. They did have an AK for 1, 2, 3, an M4, a scout. So enough to do some damage and put up some pretty significant numbers. But again, that DePaul aggression and their just confidence with everything, their crosshair placement, everything that they do is usually great. But UConn actually managed to find 2 kills as that aggression progresses onto it. But once again, it's Breezy, the captain from the DePaul team, just doing absolute work before he falls to 1-2-3. So that's going to leave this in a 2-1 in favor of UConn with Chris on the flank already. I don't know if UConn's going to expect him to come all the way from the CT side.
And even with the advantage, it falls 1 versus 1. He pushes out, catches another player off guard. The momentum is going to keep going for DePaul University as they just pull off an amazing 2v1. Chris, I mean, I'm not too sure on the stats, but I see 11-2 being an amazing fragger for their team.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible how DePaul is so good at that communications, that adaptation as they go through the round. And that was a very uncharacteristic breakdown in communications for UConn there. I mean, you saw they had that 2-1 advantage that we were talking about and plenty of time to call out that he was coming from CT. And it just didn't matter. And we can see those early trades coming in once again. DePaul ending up on the losing side of that, but DeSovo almost loses it to the Molly that was down there, just 14 health. I mean, that's not a great place for that mid player trying to take care of house. But once again, I mean, they're leaving the most powerful people on the map for DePaul in place. I mean, Breezy and Chris. Def, who historically has been one of their impact players, has just been fantastic. Canary and Pat are new to the roster starting here in the spring. So not sure exactly what to see from them. Their impact so far has been limited, as you can see by the numbers that you got on the board there.
4 assists for Canary, right? So
yeah,
at least he's maybe playing a little bit more of a supportive role, allowing the seniors to take up the mantle of the entry. But there we go. Chris goes down, and that's a win for CT side and an op in their hands.
Yeah, that's going to be huge, especially just breaking the momentum. I mean, CSGO is such a swing game, right? You get a couple rounds and suddenly you can just run away with it, just like you see in a game like Valorant. But once you break that, I mean, like, it can be the start of something really special. And now that Mr. Loverman, the captain from that UConn time, as the op, that could be huge for them. So with DePaul here, less than ideally equipped for the round, could actually have an opportunity to give UConn one more round, at least.
We're already comparing to Val?
Absolutely. It is my job as a player and a commentator during this game.
I agree, though. I mean, there are a lot of similarities. I'm coming from Val myself, which is why I'm newer to the broadcast. But I could start seeing the similarities in terms of not only crosshair placement and play style, but the way that you push in onto site, save and purchase utility. It's relatively the same. Pop Flash, I believe, is that going out for them? They try to push forward. Hopefully they can win out with Mac 10s. They do not. They even things out for them. 1 player advantage.
All right, DeSovo has done some incredible work for UConn in the past and was able to find that first one, almost finds a second there, and that was Chris in that back position. That flash might be enough to take him out. It does blind Chris, but it's not enough to give them the frag. But 1-2-3 on the flank is going to use that trigger discipline. He's going to hold that, and he's going to wait to see and find it. But unfortunately, falls prey to Breezy. Chris cleans up DeSovo. And what could have been a promising third round on the side of UConn goes disastrously, and DePaul finds them up 6-2. I did not think that was going to be the end result of that round.
I wasn't expecting that either. And part of me wonders if it's more of like a mental thing, where a lot of times we talk in Val and we talk in, like, as commentators about a team's morale and how sometimes you just have to swing stuff. You have to swing. You have to, like, just be confident in your plays. And, you get, obviously, in like Val and in CS, you have peeker's advantage. So hopefully, like, if you peek, if you take that play, if you get those entries, it might be better for you, especially on that retake, because the bomb was already down. They just needed to push forward and hopefully, like, be a little bit more aggressive. I know it's weird to be aggressive on CT. Not always, but it could work out.
It's definitely something that you can kind of note in the difference between the play styles of the team. DePaul, whenever they're executing on something, definitely go with that poise and confidence, and you can see that in the way that they take those kind of like odder, wider swings. And we can see that again here as they're executing onto that ace site. UConn, on the other hand, I feel like just kind of ended up in a situation where they were a little bit on their back foot, not quite comfortable yet. They didn't really know what to expect, or maybe we're just a little uncertain of what to expect from especially the frag leaders on the DePaul side. But this time around, it comes out in UConn's favor. They're able to get that trade with, those 3 players on the retake position. They're going to find Breezy and finally take him down from the back site. So UConn's going to be 3-6. And, honestly, this is a pretty close match, all things considered, because historically, when DePaul gets onto it, except for one whole map in the entirety of the fall split, they, I don't think, have ever trailed. So this is a great opportunity to close that gap for UConn if they can continue to build on this momentum. You can again see on the DePaul side, not ideally outfitted for this. They got plenty of AKs, but they're still not going to be as fully armed as the UConn side is right now.
Well, I mean, hopefully UConn can start using that momentum to hopefully push them forward, as they have the player advantage currently. They lost the 2v 2 players up, but they still have that player as long as they can play passively. And I remember you saying that on the T side, you have a slight disadvantage, especially by the nature of this game. And in most games where you need to push onto a specific site. So hopefully they can win and secure some more of these rounds. Breezy with the entries, able to take out one. The trade comes out in numbers, and there's the actual trade as Breezy is going down. They have the numbers advantage. They just need to find Canry. He is their new player, like you said, but Canry can't push on. It was unfortunate, and they pick up another round for UConn.
Yeah, I think going back to the start of that round, the opening double frag by Banjo there was incredible. That was probably the most consequential thing that they could have done in the course of those opening 30 seconds or so. And we saw that J-Lu there just kind of picked the wrong position to go into when he got flashed coming out of the hut area there. But ultimately, UConn's doing a much better job of adapting and reacting. You can see them, DePaul pushing onto it, but that Molly is going to do some damage as 1-2-3 finds Canary through the smoke. Def with the Tech 9 comes out, takes the refrag, and that's going to give DePaul the plant, which is going to be a bunch of bonus money for the upcoming round and going to put them in a better position. Right now, Def has recovered the M4. There's plenty of Tech 9s, which can do some serious damage. And so now it's up to UConn and what they can find as they're just pushing through the smoke, trying to find the right people. Mr. Loverman comes through, finds the triple kill, and Banjo cleans up to close it out. And again, DePaul is going to get that extra cash for the bomb plant there. But otherwise, UConn's find themselves another round. 5-6, looking much better.
I feel like UConn has now been playing a bit more confidently, spraying through the smokes, pushing in. They knew that not only did they know that they had better weaponry in that situation, as they heard the Tech 9s, and they were like, all right, we could push in here. We could take this space. They hopefully will keep this mental up, especially as they're closing the gap bit by bit. I do think it's interesting, though, to note that DePaul countered this in a really interesting way, especially because they knew that they would most likely lose. They were just trying to get that eco plant so they could plant the bomb and hopefully gain as much money as possible, maybe get a rifle out of the hands of the teammates. An unfortunate peak as Banjo's able to get 2 more. We talked about it earlier, the impact that Banjo has. He got to the round previously, and they were able to win the rifle round previously, to be more specific.
Yeah, I love that aggression. And it's just what you were talking about before, right? Do something that's unexpected. And I think DePaul is one of those teams that they're used to being the steamroller. Once they get that momentum going, they just put it in forward gear and they just keep crushing. And when you can disrupt that and create some issues for them, they do take a round or 2 at least, if not more, to really adjust to that. And this, with the aggression from Banjo there, I mean, like you said, that's back-to-back opening double kills, and that's amazing for the UConn team, just trying to take those players off the board. Most importantly, they removed Breezy and Chris from the equation early. So now it's Def and Pat, both players that can create quite an impact. But you can see DeSovo takes out Def, and that's just going to leave one. So Pat here just trying to do whatever he can. Surviving seems unlikely given the way that UConn is closing in on that. And sure enough, DeSovo goes in, cleans up with a deagle kill, and UConn, only losing J-Lu through that series, is doing fantastically. They have got to be feeling themselves right now.
It's evened out 6-6. I mean, at the beginning of the match, I would not have been able to fully predict that it would get to an even playing field. And now, I don't know. I don't know if I can accurately predict what's going to be happening. It's a save round for DePaul, so I'm going to assume that, we could say UConn has a slight advantage here, but hopefully some change in tactics, right? Because they're finally meeting someone to match their aggression and match their playstyle. Might work out for them. at the end of the day, they're going to be switching sides at some point. And so when we switch sides, they're going to be playing in a very comfortable position. They pick this map and they could just very well, I mean, lose the rest of the T side with 6 rounds up. They could still do a lot of damage. Banjo gets the kill, helps them. Banjo's been doing amazing with these first bloods, like just taking players out. But Chris, I think he was a hero rifle, is able to get some more. Banjo trades him out and they're able to tap. And that is the final straw. Breezy goes down.
Yeah, this teamwork on the Yukon side is increased and improved dramatically since those opening 3 or 4 rounds that we saw, where they were really struggling with the refrags, especially. They were kind of in the same position. We saw that one major breakdown in that 2v1, I think in round 4, that ultimately cost them the round against the remaining DePaul player at the time. So that's improved dramatically. They're obviously significantly more confident, and you can see that in how the results have shifted so dramatically. I mean, DePaul was up at 5 rounds before, and Yukon have gotten almost 6 unanswered at this point. So they're doing fantastically. Sorry, 4 unanswered.
Def was in such a sticky situation there, but he was managed to get out, and they've taken a player down. Although Def is at extremely low HP pushing through, I believe a little bit of that molly got him. Not a lot. There we go. Another player down as Canry works their way through. This might be a change in the shift in the momentum for DePaul, as they're going to be looking to win this round. The plant going off. Now they just need to hold it with 2 players down. Banjo and Diaz.
Oh, this is tough for DeSovo. He's now trapped in the back halls position, and he almost finds another one. I mean, I think when he moved into that position, there's probably a hope that his remaining 2 team members at the time would be able to find some of those random frags across the map. Did not work out that way. So instead, DePaul is going to even it up 7-7. So we're on the last round of the half, and we can see the DePaul players being as generous as Santa Claus with those extra pistols, just to make sure
always
each one of those players can take home something nice for their troubles.
Oh, you gotta get those trophies, right? You know, I always say, like, if you could pick up a really cool op especially with the skins in this game and how beautiful they are, you get yourself a nice little shiny toy for the future rounds. You know, it's like a victory for your troubles. You get the frag, you get the elimination, and now it's yours.
Absolutely. So Yukon on the back foot here, already down to Sovo from mid and J-Lu off of his site. So this is just going to be Loverman, Banjo, and 1-2-3, who so far have been the players. And Banjo once again finding the double kill on Pat and Chris. Canary and Def, though, able to clean it up. So now it's just 1-2-3 the entire round, and the balance of the half on his shoulders. But he's going up against Breezy, Def, and Canary, all of which are very well prepared to defend the site. And this is huge. He does have a flash left and 1 grenade, but it does not matter because an op is 1 shot. Down goes 1-2-3, and the half goes to DePaul University. So
MVPs.
As they swap over, oof,
look at the MVPs for
what
the
a game
T
for
side.
him.
Yeah, I mean, Banjo was doing a lot, especially with those, I think, those frags.
Pretty wild. I mean, this is, I think, as close as I would have expected coming from the fall. I mean, as I mentioned, Yukon started the fall split off kind of rough. Again, new team, new roster, trying to get everything settled, figure out what their identity as a team actually was. Whereas DePaul came in retaining most of their players from the previous season, incredibly mechanically skilled and just really strong overall. But Yukon's arc over the course of the season has just been so strong. So now they're at that point where they can compete, and that's what we're seeing here. 7-8 is pretty good, and Yukon starting off on the T side, finding that triple kill, and it's Chris just tapping away, finds 2 kills before 1-2-3 is able to trade him out. So now 2 Yukon players against just Def, but Def with that USP from a distance is super deadly. So we're just going to see the bomb come down, and if Yukon can close this out, that's going to be huge for the momentum, as that'll give them at least 2 rounds coming into this.
I remember the first time I played this game, and I got a P2000 skin, and my friends were yelling at me for the UPS, and it only took me, playing on T side and just absolutely getting domed to realize, oh yeah, they're very good. So it's crazy to see the outplays, right? The outplays that you can have with the weaponry in this game.
Oh yeah.
Skins might give wins, but better weaponry also gives wins, perhaps, as we're going to be seeing them pushing on with a buy. I believe T-side now has Mac 10s. They can run and gun and push into there, but it's Canry from a cheeky angle, and the trades goes out. DePaul is looking to hopefully even the playing field here, maybe even win a round, but it will be difficult against the T side currently. It's interesting to see Banjo with an AK as well, because, he was the star player, most frags and most first bloods, or at least, getting those really impactful kills at the beginning of that round.
Yeah, Banjo, the obvious entry fragger, and getting backed up by his team. I mean, I love the way that they've been playing off of this, chasing everybody down, not letting there be any survivors. You do see Chris with that scout trying to hold on in the donut area, but UConn, they've got 4 people, they've got tons of money, and they know that there's probably some valuable armor or weaponry on him, so they're going to hunt him down and try to find it out. J-Lu looks the wrong way. Oh no, he didn't even realize he was there, but Banjo covers for him. Chris goes down. That means that everything that DePaul invested in that round is gone now. So we can see that the money, it's not great. It's not going to give them a full buy, but they're going to hold on for one more round. You can see the utility coming on to Chris there. There is a single M4 onto Canary, and the rest of the team decides to buy after them. Okay, so DePaul decides we don't need full utility here. We're just going to go for it. We're going to get those M4s. We're going to get some of those smokes and mollies and do the best that we can. UConn not upgraded yet. They still have Mac 10s and a couple AKs, so we're going to see if that actually plays out. There is a trade, so 1 kill for their trouble and for their $2,900 investment there is not so bad. The timing. Pat with a double kill. Oh, that's
able
rough.
to push in. And there's only one lone AK against 3 players, and they just hunt him down. They know where he is. Defuse goes out. They're picking up AKs for their troubles. And I just want to note, DePaul is playing like a completely different game right now. It seems as though they're the ones who are doing some of the steamrolling themselves. I mean, not in every round, but like in most of the rounds that they are winning, they're just playing really confident and together, right?
Yeah. Their favorite play style on CT is to be as oppressive as possible. If we were playing on Inferno, you would see them until they got punished for it, continuously pushing down banana, pushing down mid, pushing alt mid, like all these early aggression areas, because they do not want to give space to the T's. They do not want to let them set up. They don't want to let them get those boosts involved so they can peek over angles. And you can see this from Canary. He's already pushed all the way up to heaven there. And he does get punished for it, but that could have been an absolute disaster if Loverman hadn't happened to be looking towards cave. 123 finds Def coming from that B site. So this is one of those places where they're actually being punished quite heavily for that aggression. So UConn, understanding this is what DePaul is going to be doing, finds an answer, but Breezy, just so mechanically gifted, is going to find that. And Chris, 123 just looking the wrong way at the wrong time, and suddenly we're back to even. This is a 2-2.
The timings. I do want to note that we're going into a really similar pattern that we see in a lot of other TAC FPS games where you have to buy things, Valorant, where you buy one round, then you might save the other round, and then you buy another round to hopefully try and win out. And then it, like, sometimes it'll switch back and forth where one team will have to save and therefore they'll lose and have a worse economy, and then the other team will win, and goes back and forth and back and forth. And so it'll be a back and forth game, and it might actually go into overtime because of that. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see, especially because DePaul was the one that wanted this map, and Connecticut getting themselves a 1-round lead. But for how long can they hold it, especially with what I previously just said?
It's a huge achievement just to be over DePaul at all. So I'll take that win any day of the week. But UConn, like you said, I mean, 10-9, and a lot of that is coming from the ability to be aware of DePaul's aggressive default, if you will. But that nade is not going to help them, or that miss nade, Molly going to the wrong place, is going to give UConn maybe a little bit more space. You can see the smokes coming down, trying to get off of that heaven area. So, I mean, pretty standard opening. But again, DePaul is just continuing to push into these positions. I guess just trying to catch out UConn in any of those off angles. And Loverman, with just like a hint that Canary might be pushing once again, is going to give him the second kill, or the third kill, excuse me. So DePaul, just with that M4 and FAMAS left, not a lot that they can really do, but it's Breezy and Chris, the two impact fraggers of the team. So Maybe. I
Lover
mean, you
man,
can
just looking at the AK. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's just like, you gotta revel in all of your victories, including the shiny trophies you get.
I mean, I do it all the time.
Oh, of
I
course.
I love my Empress AK, which is what we're seeing on JLu here. Put all those
Ooh,
beautiful stickers on it.
it's
Something you got to
beautiful.
show off when you go for the opportunity.
It was a good exit frag though from DePaul. It's just unfortunate that they can't get a couple more. I mean, they might be hunting for the rest of the team, but Connecticut's gonna
Ooh.
very close to having Connecticut lose another one. They're hunting for DePaul. They were just like, we need to find them. We need to find them and take as many guns away as we can so we can continue our lead against this team. And the
Yeah,
thing is,
especially.
the thing I also wanted to note, how much of this is going to be like a honeymoon phase? Because you said this was a new team, and how much of this is just like raw coordination and strategy as we see Breezy. Man, they're just the aggression swings back and forth. Two really confident teams.
Yeah, and what's more is they're doing that with two Deagles, so they're really trying to recover that hardware wherever they can. So UConn's going to be aware of that, and they're going to try to cover the guns. You can see them moving around, but Canary
Oh,
just finds that one tap with the Deag on Loverman, trying to push through Cave again. And so again, DePaul continues with this aggression, and you figure if you just keep trying it, it'll work eventually. And in this case, it's going to give them some extra weapons. So Deagle, M4, AK, halfway through the round, UConn's got to regroup a little bit, and Canary just pushing through so aggressively. They do not care what's going on. They're just pushing and looking for whatever they can find. So now it's just DeSovo against three players. DePaul should be aware of where the bomb is. They're holding passively and trying not to be too aggressive, and they find it again. So Canary, huge impact there, finding the opening kill with that Deagle, and then that follow up to close out the round. I mean, this is that area where UConn's really got to like just put their dig their heels in and stop DePaul from going too much further beyond this, because as we get into these last couple of rounds, the margin for error continues to just shrink.
the focus that they need to have to keep the balance of the game and hopefully either get into overtime or just win the rest of these rounds is immense. And that's the thing with these players, the veterans versus the new players. Right? I feel like the veterans have that experience of being down a little bit and coming back from it. But never say never, as Connecticut is able to get the plant down. UConn also has some utility to slow them down. The op from Chris coming out to hopefully scope anyone out. He's able to get Loverman. That's hopefully going to give him some room to work with up against some players through the wall. He just sprays them down. The trade. It's now 2 versus 2. Although for Connecticut, they're on low HP. 1, 2, 3 goes down. One player left. They peek. The plant. They're able to get the defuse. That is going to be 11-11. And it's, again, this tight balance, this back and forth.
Yeah, those are the types of ends to the rounds that I really want to see, right? Coming down to that 1v1 or that 2v2. And that's exactly
Yeah.
what it was. And I think they could have played a little bit differently, could have played off the bomb a little bit further. They decided to double up in that T ramp side, which is definitely going to give them the opportunity for a double frag. But once you get it, or a refrag, excuse me, but once you get into that 1v1 situation, you just got to back off and wait for the defuse. But it's not going to be the end of the world. There's still plenty of rounds left, and they still have that hero AK, which is going to do some damage for them before they go down. But that is going to give them enough room to potentially take over the site. Chris coming in from the back halls area is going to find that call, and it's going to delay the bomb plant as 1, 2, 3 tries to bait him out. But Chris comes out, swings, destroys, and that's the end of the round with Canary cleaning up Banjo in middle. So not the ideal outcome for the eco round on UConn.
Just a touch unfortunate.
Yeah, can't get the bomb down, so they're going to be out an extra $400, but they'll have enough money to at least get something as far as their AKs. But as you can see, utility's pretty light on that. You see a couple flashes. More importantly, they got a couple smokes, but there's no HEs or mollies on their side. So they're going to be at a slight disadvantage, and they're already going to have to blow one of the smokes as their aggression in mid. And that great flash in favor of Chris coming from the donut area is just going to give them a free kill. So now they're kind of stuck in middle here right now. They got to move away from this, because you can see DePaul not wasting any time already moving into these places.
It's a very tight rope to walk. They have the advantage here. They don't want to lose it, and they're playing so well, pushing in aggressively where they need to in mid, and just playing cautiously. They know they don't need to push out. They know that they don't need to risk it. Someone coming at them, and they just pick them off one by one. A 2-round lead for DePaul, and the confidence, especially this late in the game, is going to start showing. I mean, I talk a lot about that type of stuff, but at the same time, Connecticut, I wonder if they're going to change up their strategy just a bit. They're on a save currently, so they can't realistically do as much as they would like. But maybe taking a page out of DePaul's book and trying to get that plant down so they can have more money for that next buy round, it'll work out for them. But they'll have to lose the round for it. Spraying Banjo's able to grab one in the trade, and there we go. Jlu goes down. 1, 2, 3 falls as well to Chris. It's now a single player. DeSovo. Tech 9 from a range. Breezy's able to take him down. It's going to be 3 rounds for DePaul, and not the biggest we've seen, but this late into the game, this gap is going to be really impactful for Connecticut.
Yeah, this is basically do or die. You play for the tie, you play for the win. This is what it looks like for just the dire circumstances of UConn at this point. They had quite a few rounds that they were able to string together, but the aggression of DePaul has ultimately turned out, so far at least, to be just too overwhelming. And so now they've got 2 rounds to turn it around for UConn. They've got to win 5 in order to get that game win. You can see that they've slowed down a little bit. They're taking more defensive positions, but that's not going to be enough because Def's aggression is already going to give them 1 kill. So far, 2 for 1 trade is not so bad. So now they've just got to hold on to this and make sure that they're not giving away silly kills. And 1, 2, 3, making the most out of that angle, finds 2 headshots on a Chris and Canary both. That's going to give them one heck of a chance to finish this off with a W.
I don't know how well they took your advice of like we got to play passively, especially with 1, 2, 3 just pushing that. But when you have such precise aim and you have the confidence, it works out. Now it's just up to Breezy, and we've seen him frag. He's doing really well in terms of just regular stats, so it might work out. And there's the trade. Regardless, if you have a buddy, you got the buddy system. You have another friend there. Even if you go down, it's like well, it's a 1-for-1 trade and we secure the round, especially trying to tighten the gap for UConn. That might be beneficial for them because at the end of the day, they still had 3 players left. That's 3 rifles going into the next round. And with their morale hopefully on the up and up, it's going to be a tighter game. And this is just making me excited. I want to see this battle.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you can see the aggression from UConn this time, just pushing directly onto that B site. The utility's coming out. They got plenty of it. They find that opening kill, which is enough to give them the site. They're going to bring that bomb to it, which is going to give a little bit more time for DePaul to rotate. You can see DeSovo being very suspicious of that smoke. Unfortunately, he loses it. And Loverman, that Molly's a little too good and takes out his boy 1, 2, 3. Oh, the shadow betraying Breezy as he tries to flank around the outside. Is going to make this a 3v2. UConn, with their life on the line here, is going to go for it. And Loverman finds that, leaving just 1, but almost a Canary could have had a double kill there, but luckily for UConn, the return frag is on point.
And now the situation is a lot less dire. It's going to be a save round from DePaul as they... Oh, Chris is going... Oh, no, they're going to be forcing up. Chris is going for a hero rifle, and I think some other players buying rifles as well. But the utility is not going to be as robust. They're not going to have as much capabilities for it. And so that is going to be really difficult for them. They want to try and win this, maybe even get a round on an eco. Maybe you can win your eco rounds, but it's going to be difficult. I feel like a lot of this game is like the balance is just so interesting to me. The intricacies as Canary able to take 1 out, the trade in numbers, but not in spirit. Hopefully they get it there, but Canary still alive, picking up the AK, pushes in. Is Canary going to be able to get even more kills? He looks in the wrong direction, almost missed there, but Loverman gets the spray, gets the prey, gets another one. It's just Loverman up against 2. And 2 players with slightly worse weaponry. He shoots distraction and he's able to peek off of it. Not only picking up an AK for themselves, but going into match point, I believe. Is it 16? Yes.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm so used to Val. So used to it.
That was a heroic effort from Loverman there. I mean, I believed that he could get that full ace and do some amazing things there. But unfortunately, sometimes that ump just becomes unbearable. And certainly has some of the benefits of that recoil control on the move, as you just alluded to. So DePaul, playing off of that expectation subversion tactic that they often bring into this, they said, forget about it. We're not going to wait around. We're not going to, just try to stall this out. We're just going to go for it. So now UConn is literally playing for their lives here. They have to continue winning this to get 2 more rounds, go into OT, and try to force a new opportunity for a win. If they drop a single round, they're out of this first map. That's the end of Ancient, and we're moving on to Mirage. But UConn is not dead yet. They still have a bunch of fight in them, and you can see that from Banjo, who's been a little quiet over the last couple of rounds. We haven't seen the same type of early entry frags that we had seen in the first half, but he's doing some work out there before he goes down to Canary. And now Jilu is the only one on the site. A little bit of support coming in from Caves, but that's not going to be enough to save him as 2v3, excuse me, as he gets real dangerous real quick.
1, 2, 3 goes down in, just as much time as it takes to say their name, and it is going to be going to DePaul University. I miss the ability to be able to just, do what
remind
they
your teammates.
Remind your teammates of your loyalty and trust, especially being the last person there to get the defuse. It's very fun to see these players have a fun time and a good. We saw UConn doing such an amazing job against DePaul, having some rounds on top of them. And as you said earlier and alluded to, DePaul being one of the powerhouses in the previous seasons, unfortunately, I was not able to see them. It's crazy to see UConn being able to push out against them. And now as we're switching into Mirage, which is UConn's map, we might see a different side to UConn and hopefully a little bit more trouble for DePaul.
Yeah, Ancient is definitely one of those less picked maps, we'll say. Generally, we're seeing kind of those core maps around Inferno, Mirage, a little bit of Vertigo. Occasionally, we'll see Nuke, but Ancient is, I think, the least picked map across the entire season so far. So naturally, you would expect if it's not something that you're practicing all the time, you're not going to have quite the readiness. But UConn showed up. 16-14 is as close as you can get without tying. So they did an excellent job, especially as the second place team to DePaul. They're coming in, they're challenging. As we come into Mirage, again, one of those more mainstream maps, we're going to see whether UConn has something special cooked up for them, or if it'll just be a little bit more of an even playing ground for them to test some of the mechanics that they have. So very exciting first map. Obviously, really excited to see what comes up. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with Mirage, where we're going to see DePaul versus UConn, decide who really deserves that 1 and 2 spots. Welcome back, everybody. After a super close first map of Ancient against the 1 and 2 teams, DePaul and UConn, respectively, we're coming back into UConn's map pick. It's Mirage, so they will start on the T side as is tradition. DePaul starting off on the CT side. I mentioned it during Ancient. DePaul, when they're playing on the CT side, love to play oppressively, meaning they're just super aggressive. They go in, they try to make sure that they just kind of suck the life out of you. And if they can crush your soul before you have a chance to build momentum, then that's a great way to spell victory. We see the same kind of thing from most of the top teams. Marquette does that a lot as well. UConn does it when they have the chance to against a team that will allow them to do so. So we're going to see what happens. I don't know. Nerd, my boy, you feeling any particular way about either of these teams right now?
Well, I always want to favor the team that picked the map because they are capable of, like, they hopefully tried it and trained it. But as Breezy shows, you can always do a lot of damage. He got another one. Calf's trying to make some way for them, but it's just Breezy in the backline causing havoc. 3 versus 1. It's just going to be a solo player. He picks up the USP. Sorry. You know, I'm just so into my shipping labels and containers. I love trading Pokemon cards, but it's Counter Terrorists that win. The peak from Def going out, obviously showing off that beautiful knife skin. Beautiful peak, beautiful skin, beautiful player. As it's going to be the first round for Connecticut. I don't know. I feel like they're confident. I was saying Connecticut is going to have this confidence, this air of like, we need to win this. They want to.
Oh, absolutely. Although you got to make sure that, again, you're dealing with Breezy early. We saw that he got the 4K there, and that was almost enough to just win the round specifically just on his own. And this is the exact kind of aggression that I was talking about. This is DePaul saying, we are not going to give them an opportunity to set up. We're not going to give them a chance to execute on a strat. We're just going to rush directly up mid, right down their throats, take their lives immediately. And 1, 2, 3, along with J-Lu just trying to hold on and get whatever they can out of it. They actually do find 2 kills to make that 3. So Calf, I mean, down to only 24 health with Pat. I mean, Pat was not one of the loudest players in terms of the frags, but as you pointed out, a lot of assists for his team there, playing that support role. So, I mean, it's hard to say that this is going to immediately go to DePaul, despite the fact that they've got 2 of those. So, again, DePaul is on the CT side here, UConn on the attacking side. We'll get that switch in just a second. But right now, I mean, UConn's in not the worst position. 1, 2, 3, definitely an adept fragger and has only 124 health to get through before he gets a round win.
So UConn is on T side currently. Like, that makes more sense. I was confused because I was like, UConn's doing great now. Like they're being confident. Like, dang, they're swinging in so well. And like on this CT side, no caster moment, of course, but there's still a possibility for them to push forward. 1, 2, 3 has a gun equal to, but no, I don't know if it'll be better. Plant is going off. The peeks out, tries to stick it, but it's not enough. It's not enough time. It's not good for them. DePaul is just going to be taking this early lead so far.
Yes. So UConn probably not feeling too bad about those opening rounds. I mean, obviously they're down 2 rounds overall, but it's just the first 2 rounds. It's not gonna, determine the overall destiny of them in this game. So we'll see what continues to happen. We'll get sound back in just a second. But Calf trying to make their impact. They are one of those subs for the DePaul side. So they come in. Chris coming in and finding that triple kill, doing excellent work before the end comes to Loverman. Just, it's a save round. Again, the UConn side just coming in, trying to build up a little bit more bank before they invest. So now that we're getting to the point where they should have plenty of money, and they do for rifles, we'll see what UConn does with that.
The thing I want to note is that we saw DePaul take a pretty good and pretty substantial early lead on Ancient. I was about to say a completely different thing, which would have been wrong, but Ancient, the correct map, not Ascent. Ancient, they had I think it was like a 6-1 lead at some point. They had like 4 rounds up on UConn, and UConn was able to come back for it. So I'm not 100% sure, and I'm not too worried if I was UConn in this situation. They still have a lot of impact. I say that with 2 players down for UConn. it is looking a bit grim. AKs in hand, they still have a lot of potential to outfrag and outmaneuver the likes of DePaul, but I think the coordination from DePaul just might prevail.
And I mean, I think that you could say UConn's a little almost frantic here in these opening rounds. I mean, they've tried a variety of different things. It hasn't quite worked out. They've been pretty close, but it's still kind of demoralizing when you've tried all these things and you get so close. And then ultimately you just have to deal with the outcome as it falls. But now that they've gotten into the rifle rounds, it hasn't really given them the opportunity to calm down, settle in. And you see that by just some of the utility that was thrown there, like the connector smoke was just a little bit too low. And so the confidence pushing up Cat to swing and try to take that fight ended up being taken out by somebody on the A site. And so like those just little things were some of those mistakes we saw very early on in Ancient for the UConn squad. And DePaul, obviously, as you mentioned, able to take advantage of that, keep a pretty steady round lead until we got into the mid game. And so far, it seems to be pretty similar. UConn hasn't gotten their first round yet. DePaul up 4-0, but other than that last round, they've been pretty close, especially taking into account the difference in weaponry in each of those respective rounds after the pistol. So UConn got to take a breather, try to get settled a little bit. You can see that scout's paying off for them, but Breezy immediately trades for 2. So not the math that they're hoping for. And UConn, once again, they're trying to just find their way out onto these sites. But without the utility, without the ability to execute more as a squad, DePaul just runs through people.
Through the smoke. The game sense, picking up AKs for themselves. It's just... It looks tough right now for Connecticut. But again, like I said earlier, there was a substantial lead beforehand. And I mean, the back and forth it's currently happening where you start losing rounds. So you're going to buy one round, save, buy, save. It's the back and forths. So hopefully they can break out of this cycle. And I remember when they broke out of the cycle, they still had a rough time through it, but they were able to even things out near the end. 3-4, still extremely winnable, but with Tech 9 or Tech in the hands of 1-2-3 instead, it's a really nice off angle for Breezy to just push forward. But Loverman is able to take them out. The op comes. Chris wins out 6-0. The biggest gap I think we've seen so far, 6 rounds up.
So far, yeah. And this is, I think, probably the best illustration of how important it is to make use of the utility on Mirage. We talked about how Ancient is like less of a common pick. That also tends to mean that the utility isn't as kind of like automatic. But for Mirage, it is. It's almost like Dust 2 was before it got taken out of the pool, where everybody knew every smoke, every flash. And if you didn't have that, it was really difficult to get into a site. And to take some of the advantage. And we saw that how just a single player was able to shut down their B advance out of apartments. No flashes, no smokes to hold off that arch cap position, and they paid for that. On the other hand, we saw DePaul earlier in the round throwing that easy automatic flash from the A site over into mid. I was reading yesterday in pro play, that is the most efficient flash, as it's flashes that lead to frags. So something that you got to throw at the beginning of every round. It's going to get somebody at the top of mid. It's going to give DeSovo or Def. Or sorry, DeSovo has been swapped out in this. It's going to give Def that easy op shot from the middle if UConn's not aware of that, or they're going to have to trade off and try to retake top of mid. So UConn just in this position where they've got to play a little bit more carefully, but that's exactly the kind of play that they need. Canary doing an excellent job to take out Chris. That's going to leave just Def. Def's got the op though. So even with 3 UConn players, that's 1 shot per kill there, and very, very doable. Although Def, based on his current position, just hanging out, seems like he's going to go for the save. Probably a smart move, and giving up 1 round after 6 wins, that's fine.
Yeah, they have enough momentum. They have enough of an economy to really not worry about it. Chris and Def themselves both can drop for their teammates, I believe, with Breezy and Pat not having as much in terms of economy, but they do also get a loss bonus. They get some money for that. Speaking of which, because Connecticut has won, I don't know. I think the momentum. Yeah, the momentum has shifted. Connecticut, I'm gonna just say Connecticut will win this next round. I pray. I pray I don't cast a curse. But no, Connecticut will win this next round. They have the confidence. Please. Ooh. Man, I'm sitting at the edge of my seat currently as the utility is going back and forth. None of the sites have been taken just yet. And it seems as though DePaul is just waiting to see where they're going to hit. I don't want to push too far out just yet.
They do have that op probing a little bit. Breezy is continuing to play up on that cap position. And again, there's no flashes there. You can't just dry peek a corner there and expect to get results, especially with the way that DePaul has been playing. They've got so much confidence in the way that they've been executing and the way they've been hitting pretty much every shot. Oh, they can hear that scope. It's going to give it away, but it doesn't matter. Def gets the upper hand on Canary there and is going to clear out Connector. So 1, 2, 3 is going to open up that B side. There's still one more playing on the side, and it's Breezy. Oh, the last name that you want to see. And of course, Breezy's able to find the first kill before running out of bullets. So it's going to leave Loverman and DeSovo to take control of that B site. But we can see the last player coming in, Chris, who does lose his life in a second one. DeSovo trying to hero. Oh, what a play. I mean, this one player left.
Come on, Connecticut. I believe. I mean, if they lose this, they don't have their loss bonus to go back on. Calf takes them down, picking up an op for their troubles, going for the defuse. And now that they've lost another round, they go back and the loss bonus is reset. So their economy is, again, going to be slightly worse off. DePaul winning that round. I mean, it came down to the wire. The last play. The small mistakes, like you said earlier, from Connecticut, the dry peek, right? You can do that, especially if you're going to be doubling up, right? You go 2 players, a buddy system. At least you get the trade. You can have some momentum if you know that you're risking your life, but at least it's not going to be in vain. But if you just peek it on your own and then give Breezy that easy kill, the easy opening for them to just push forward or push back so they can keep their numbers advantage, it becomes this game of like chess. Like, are you willing to lose that pawn for basically no return?
Yeah, exactly. And this is the first time that we've seen a coordinated effort from UConn onto the A site, and so far it is paying off in spades. They have 2 kills on the board. They're down 2 players, but they do have the bomb down. Breezy comes in from jungle, and they're going to start to see this cleanup duel. So we see both of the DePaul players coming in from UConn, but that nade going to do so much damage. Now they know where Loverman is. Canary trying desperately to hold on to his teammate, but he's going down towards bench. He finds the first one and the second one picked up by Loverman. That is some excellent crosshair placement. Crossfire is the word that I was looking for from UConn, and that's going to hold it on. But damn, that was close.
It came down to the wire, and you know, my prediction was just a round off. They're going to win, and they did win. Especially on T side, I feel like this map, every time I see it being played, it's really difficult for T side. It's just so hard. The mid rush player coming from the back, he's able to get them Canary. He had a really interesting play from DePaul. They were just rushing it into mid. Not sure how they were trying to play that and how to disrupt the flow, but it worked out for them to a degree. They were able to get some frags. Maybe that was their plan, get some frags. And you know, we lose this round anyway. We lost the previous round. We're going to get a better loss bonus currently, and now the buy round is going to come out and they will hopefully win out. Actually, can they?
This is kind of the danger. They can if they want to. It looks like they're going to go for they're going for the eco here with Deagles, which we've seen how they play. That's super. Yes, they went for upgraded pistols to try to get whatever they could out of that mid push. Didn't get anything, obviously, because of the counter smokes. So they're going to go for one more save. You can see that the cash isn't really in their favor, and CT side is inherently more expensive than T. It's part of the balance. So, you know, we're going to see a minimum buy requirement of 2,900 for that M4 A1S, 400 for the kit, etc. But I mean, DePaul making the most out of this. They started off with just some upgraded pistols, and now they've got upgraded pistols and 2 AKs. So they're going to be feeling pretty good about this result. And now JLu and DeSovo they've had some pretty important end of the round kills previously, but Breezy is of course the one they're going to find on Cat and almost takes out JLo, but luckily for UConn, they managed to survive that. They're going to switch over to the op, make best use of the health they have remaining. But with the seconds ticking off the clock, they have to make a decision. And for better or for worse, there's one player actively on A site, but they're looking towards mid, but there is that jungle player. So they're going to have two people and that bias towards it. They now have a good idea of where they're coming from. So now UConn just has to frag out here because there's no utility left for them. And it doesn't matter because CAF just finds the 2 kills, ends the round very cleanly. So UConn, they've got to get at least 5 rounds in this half. I mean, they certainly want more than that, but at a bare minimum to start from a position of not comfort by any means, but 10-5 is reasonable. If you win the pistol round, it's a lot easier to come back into it. Still playing from a deficit, but obviously like the narrower the gap, that better. If you don't get at least 5, that becomes an incredibly difficult task. Not impossible, but your chances of winning drop by the tens of percents for every round that you've lost past that. So you got to make sure that you get at least 5. And I mean, it's not like they've been out of any round. There's been a couple instances where you look at it and say, man, you really got to win those. But I mean, it's in some cases just a small mistake. They run out of utility. There's, like a poor refrag situation or something like that. But I mean, it's not going too bad. We just gotta keep pushing on.
Rethink. You always just gotta use the old brain over aim and have a fun thinking session. Talk about how you are going to counter UConn, how you're going to counter DePaul. Maybe play slower, play more aggressively. We're going to see right now, though, what they decide to do and how they decide to do it. The thing I'm really interested in is, can UConn keep up their momentum? This is still it's not the biggest gap we've seen, and they were able to come over and push through gaps that they had and saw before. It's their map, so maybe on CT we'll see a completely different game.
You can see that Loverman's over there throwing. He throws the smoke over to jungle. He takes the smoke that his teammates dropped over. Is going to smoke off all 3. So he's really trying to make it look like that A execute. As on the other hand, the rest of his teammates are pushing onto that B site. So very smartly trying to split the efforts of the DePaul side, which works out to a degree, but there's still a player in Marquette and the rest of the DePaul team moving in very quickly. So it's a 3v3. Everybody's kind of in different positions in the map. And because of that, Loverman able to get a free kill with Def not even looking in his direction. So they're going to get the bomb down. There's 2 players from DePaul in Marquette. So there's only one avenue that UConn really has to be protective of. I think they've only seen 1 out of those 2 players. So you can see they're still trying to check some of these other potential vectors of approach. But so far, I mean, UConn's probably been in the best position this late in the round that they have in quite a while. So we see CAF taking a ton of damage from that molly and has forced to retreat. So this is probably going to be an easy save call from the DePaul side. And you can see Chris already picking folks off on Cat, and he's just going to sit there and
get
see
those
what
exit
else he
frags.
can get. Trying to bait out that shot. Man, that trigger discipline from Chris is gross. That man is incredible on that op and has been since we first saw him. That's wild.
Getting those exits near the end, it's really useful not only to get that extra money, the bonus, so you can buy one of your teammates, maybe give them a rifle of some kind, but it's just a win. I mean, the timeouts, they work for both teams. If DePaul times out to hopefully slow the momentum of Connecticut can still rethink their strategy and push on. And we see it here as Connecticut was able to win after a timeout. And I don't know what the stats are exactly, but I think that for most players, if the timeout happens, it usually slows down the momentum of whatever team was winning. But sometimes, at least in Connecticut, at least a little bit. And sometimes, and in most cases, a good team like Connecticut or DePaul will use that time to rethink their own strategies, talk amongst themselves and think, how are we going to combat this? Chris, through the smoke, is able to take out Loverman. The peek coming out from Def and Pat as they work together. The trades back and forth. It's up by 2 players for DePaul. They're going to try and spray and see if they can find anyone on this A site. 2 players on site. The trades go out. 1 player left. He sprays, but Breezy from the back is able to grab him. That is going to be a win for DePaul.
You can definitely see that UConn is having more initial success getting onto A when they've got that full utility. The problem is they're getting stalled out mid-site, and it's something that you see pretty commonly if you're looking at like matchmaking queue, and it's something where you have to think about, you know, obviously steps 1 through 3, but then you also have the 4, 5, and 6, and that's where they're getting kind of stuck. They're putting down the mollies to prevent the push through the smoke at bench. They're generally aware of people jumping up on ticket in some of those common spots, which is great. Breezy. Oh man, that would have been an excellent place for a Canary to get in and do a little bit of trouble. I don't think anyone knew that he was in that ladder room area. Fortunately, it's there. But as I was saying, UConn, I think if they're probably their best bet, at least based on how they've succeeded so far, is late round B pushes, early round A aggression. But with the A aggression, they've got to be pushing people into CT pretty fearlessly. Like they've got to take that out. And as I mentioned before, like you've got to get this 5th round. So this is really do or die for Connecticut. They can certainly come back if this doesn't work out in their favor, but 11-4 is a huge deficit to have to battle back from. And if they lose that pistol round, it becomes just, you can look at the win probability just drop precipitously. So I'm rooting for UConn here just because I want to see the quality of match, but you will see what happens.
Well, as you said before, DePaul being a veteran team, they have, you know, they might not be comfortable on this map specifically, or they might have not trained it, but they have the technical knowledge and capabilities. An 11-4 split going in favor of DePaul University, as they're just showing their dominance in the game. With some top players being Breezy and Chris, I mean, we've seen them frag out and we've seen them do crazy things. So we'll have to see if they can continue their momentum. Both Loverman and DeSovo leading the charge for their team respectively. I mean, they have the frags, they have the capabilities.
Oh man, there's so much riding on this round. 1, 2, 3 able to find the opening one, but that trade is not going to be sufficient. They really have to make sure they're winning each one of those. And Chris, just more bullets. 20 to that 12 in the USP is going to come out in his favor. Those extended kind of like frag shoot or strafe and shoot kind of things, pretty tough and breezy with that flick. Oh, this is just slipping slowly but surely slipping away from UConn as DePaul have 2 players left and they are closing. Oh my god, it's 1 bullet. It's whoever just shoots first. No.
Shoots. It's honestly whoever peeks even more. But DePaul, they're just gonna have more and more.
I just completely lost the words to explain what was happening there. It's pretty wild. I mean, I loved that as we were progressing through that. I mean, you could obviously see everyone putting everything they could into it, getting a little bit nervous there. And again, you had some of those prolonged aim battles that weren't really going in their favor. So UConn down 12-4. They really have to break DePaul's momentum. I mean, they have not had a lot of luck in any sustained drive, obviously illustrated by the fact that they've only got 4 rounds after the first half. But all is not lost. DePaul is continuing with that aggressively oppressive way to attach and whew.
Oh, just getting some aim training in right there before they get kicked out. It's just a battle of attrition to death that comes with meeting DePaul University. When you peak, it's insane. And I think that's one of the things you were talking about previously, where they have the technical capabilities to keep this momentum up and going forward. So on CT side, even though they have those advantages, going up against a team like DePaul is going to be, it's just going to be hard. The Deegs come out so they can hopefully get those picks with the aim, but Breezy, quicker to the draw, is able to get one more. Speaking of 1, 2, and 3, gets Chris and Calf. They take out with Breezy with a molly. Player from Connecticut. 2 versus 1. DeSovo, we've seen them do crazy things and get frags up against players with an AK. There's still a lot of possibility. Breezy and Def are both on low HP, so if he could just time this correctly, he might be able to get it. Although I think he might be going for exits, trying to save or come up from behind. There's just not enough time to take that long route to get onto site. I think, no, I know DePaul University, they know this. They know, hey, there's no time for him to go through the long way and defuse this. He's going to be hunting for exits. How do we stay alive in this situation? Where do we go? It's going to run through mid. It's open.
It's their best bet.
Yeah, they pick up some trophies for themselves. They just run out.
It's looking pretty dire for UConn.
Yeah.
Unlike UConn, what we saw on Ancient, UConn just has not been able to find that effective footing. And I mean, that's part of the danger of starting off on the T side. If you are able to find and probe against those weaknesses of the defense, and put up a respectable number, like you're in a great position for CT where it's a little bit easier historically. But DePaul is one of those teams where they just don't have a lot of weaknesses to exploit. And you can see that by the way that they've been able to do things so far. DePaul has switched up a little bit. They're going aggressive towards that B site. And this has actually been kind of a mistake from them. You can see so far, at least, that the DePaul players, as they filtered out from apartments, the counter smokes from the UConn side, did a great job of slowing them down, keeping them funneled into that area. And then playing from that jail position is so annoying. It is the one place whenever I play, I always get caught from somebody there because it's just hard to check someone that's tucked real deep into that spot. But it's still really fun to see. So UConn wins, which is great. I mean, they're surviving for another round. They do have an incredibly long journey before they get back to the same position they were in Ancient. So it really comes down to what we expect from these teams here and what DePaul decides to do. You can see they're set up for that A execute as the smokes start to come in. They're funneling out of that palace position, and UConn is opting not to take those one-on-one fights. With 1-2-3 getting aggressive is actually going to find some pretty impactful kills. So that's going to leave just 2 players down. Wow, this is going very well for UConn.
You run, you gun. The P90, the P shooter, you're able to blast away with it and get some frags really easy. The utility is looking lackluster. The guns are looking lackluster, and they've got DePaul on the run so far, at least for a little bit, at least for now. How long can they keep this up? I believe the next round, actually, it's going to be the next round is going to be the tie. So if they can, I mean, if they get to 15, DePaul is going to at least tie with them or draw. Connecticut wants to at least do that, bare minimum, but winning might be another goal for them, especially because they're taking this and doing so well. They're using their aggression here perfectly, I would say, because they're going with each other. They're being aggressive, but they're playing with each other in mid. They have someone at the top there through the window. They have someone peeking from cat. They're making sure that if they die, they do not give up any of those rifles, knowing that they're on an eco. That's hopefully going to bring them closer, as they're half of DePaul's score and 7 away from being even.
You can see there's quite a bit of determination from the UConn side here to not just roll over and die. And that is what makes Counter-Strike so great. There is an opportunity, even with only a single round left between victory and defeat, where a team can still make a run for it and come back. And it's really just a matter of what each individual player is capable of and how they come together in that collective. So UConn doing an excellent job. I mean, this is DePaul with rifles. They are not at any specific disadvantage other than the fact that Def's on a scout instead of an op. But UConn is still able to clean up, and it's almost as flawless as the last round. We're going to see if Def can do anything with that scout from the top of mid. But otherwise, UConn once again finds themselves in a pretty great position, except for Def takes off Canary's head just sitting there in the middle of mid. So reasonably speaking, we're going to see this closed out. It's really just a matter of whether they decide to let Def live or not. And if they decide to go after them, will Def be able to do more with that scout? We've seen he's more than capable with any scoped weapon. But 1-2-3 is able to get the timing just about right, takes them from the top of mid. UConn's up 8 rounds. 6 rounds down, not impossible, but definitely a big ask.
Hey, people have climbed Mount Everest, and Connecticut can climb up high. I am a copium believer in the underdogs. I know that it's a lot harder to root for an underdog. Oh, well, actually, it's easy to root for an underdog, but it's a lot harder for the underdog to come through. it's just so interesting and engaging, especially with a team like Connecticut. It's their map, it's their pick. They challenged DePaul on the map that they were, in theory, in all senses of the word, they should not have done as well as they did on Ancient, because that's not their map. That's not the map that they picked. That's not the map that they're good. They're going up against a powerhouse. It's a new team, and they're down by so much, and they're doing so well right now. It just makes me as a caster, and hopefully you as the viewers, so engaged and interested in how they develop as a team, especially with 3 players up, 1 player, Chris, on the run, op in hand, or sorry, AK in hand for Chris. I don't know if they're gonna hunt him down or let him live, but I would hope that they have this round in the bag. I think they're gonna have, I know they're gonna have this. No caster curses here. Ooh. And they do.
There we go.
9 to 14. There we go. The mountain is they're taking it one step at a time. The mountain is being climbed. They're going to take the steps that they need to really push forward. What are they doing differently? What have they changed significantly that really has shown, like, you can obviously point out this is what they're doing that's allowing them to win this many rounds?
I think it's just kind of the CT benefit generally that you start to see as teams kind of gel around a strategy. And another part of it, I think, is just the confidence of winning a round. I mean, obviously we saw just based on the numbers, there were quite a few rounds that they went without really much to celebrate. I mean, you certainly were getting close, but sometimes those are even more demoralizing. And losing those close battles is really, really tough. And that was a particularly close execute because those Tech 9s are absolute nail guns. I mean, they are super deadly, fast fire rate, and pretty good sized clips. So that could have been difficult, potentially start of the end there for the UConn team, but they do steal their defenses, and end up keeping another round on it. So we can see DePaul is here back to full strength. They've got 2 ops, or sorry, an op and a scout. So they're going to see what they can get from mid. And I think one of the differences, going back to your question, is UConn's been wisely giving up mid in a way that's not giving away the early pick, which is where I think Def, especially with that op, has been able to get a lot of value out of that 4750 purchase into that op. But UConn's given that up. They're playing more passively, which I think is giving them more of an opportunity to pick fights on their own terms. And that's forcing DePaul, especially here with 2 scoped weapons, to approach these bomb sites with a not ideal breakdown. You can see Canary getting the double kill there, but Def immediately returns with the deagle, and now he's got the scout, and he almost gets a third.
Oh,
and he gets his third. I'll give him that.
He gets the third. That is another win for CTs, as it is now. It went from I think it was, what was the difference? It was like 1 to, and I am bad at caster math, but they went from such a huge deficit. What matters is they pushed through. They went to the huge deficit. They're climbing this mountain. I mean, they're from Connecticut, so I don't know how many mountains there are there, but we see them doing a very good job. Hiding back, like you said, not giving them the opening picks in mid, making sure that they're playing with their team. Connecticut is 3 away from tying this game up. CAF, wanting to change that, is able to get 2 of them. It's up for the T side currently, as DePaul is starting to take note of their playstyle, playing a little bit safer. The dry peek working for Breezy, peeking through the smoke. Now it's just going to be up to this play. He sprays, he prays. JLu is able to grab some picks for themselves. And now with an AK in hand, they're going to try and even things out unevenly in their favor. Unevenly.
And now DePaul a little bit split up with that. That flank is just so devastating, and there's nothing they can do about it. So now JLu is just going to have to sit there, and he can try for something, I guess. But it looks like DePaul, I guess, not trusting that they had the entire site, is actually going to go towards B, where JLu is sitting on Van. So I guess he was aware of the fact that bomb was down on Cat. Yeah, bomb's right there. So they grab it. or almost grab it. They have not gotten to it yet. Now they have it. Okay, so now they're moving back to site, and for a second I thought I totally missed that they didn't have the bomb with them and thought that they were just going to be site. I was like, how perfect can that possibly be? J-Lu finds the pick through the box.
It's not over till it's over. The plant's going down again. It's 1v1. Low HP for J-Lu. There's a lot of possibilities. Both have AKs in hands. Headshots could be the difference maker in this game.
Okay, so the fact that Cap is sitting in a main is going to make things a little bit more difficult for J-Lu to clear the site. He's got to clear so many different positions. He's going to check into CT first, then he's got to check onto site. He's got to check Palace, and then finally a main. And at any point in time, if he doesn't tap that bomb and at least try to draw out some shots, unfortunately, with no utility left, there's nothing you can do there. I mean, it was a good gamble. What else are you going to do? There's too many places to check in that amount of time, and without anybody to back you up, you just got to go for it. So, I mean,
I'm still on the hopium. I'm still on the hopium that Connecticut, I mean, regardless, they've put up an amazing fight here to climb up from where they were to where they are now to 11-15. Making a really good fairy tale run. Flashes and smokes go out as they peek onto this A site. Trades coming back and forth. It's 4v4. DePaul's not out of it yet. They have the advantage on this retake. The sprays through the smoke. They don't find one, but the frag does. 3v3. It's just a balance. There we see def. Precision. Aim. The mechanical play is there. One is on stairs. The bomb has been planted and through his friend. You know, it's a worthy sacrifice, right? You play through your teammates and you're capable of winning out there. 15-11 on Connecticut's pick. But still, I just want to give a huge props to Connecticut from coming back from that, especially being a newer roster. You have to have such mental fortitude to really push through, to have that drive to be like, we're down, we might not be capable of winning this, but we are going to give it one heck of a try. We are going to push forward. And they did just that.
They did indeed. And it ended up being a lot closer than I think that we were maybe getting a little worried that it might have been as we saw UConn progressing into that second half. Once they got their feet under them, they were able to make it a lot close. So we ended up with a 16-14, a 16-11 game. Certainly very respectable scores, especially considering just how incredibly dominant DePaul has been. Almost every team that they've played, they've dropped, again, one map the entirety of the previous split. So they're coming into this. They want to continue to establish that. UConn is coming in, continuing that ascent, and they want to show that they can take off some maps from the top dog, and they came very, very close. So they've got plenty of games left. I mean, this is only the first week of the spring split out of another 9 weeks to come. So plenty more time, to continue to develop. And we're going to see a lot of different teams that they'll kind of, try to prove themselves against as we go through that. So we're going to take a quick break, see if we can get somebody in from the DePaul team for a quick interview. And then we're going to take a short break on broadcast before we come back with Marquette versus the University of Montana around 8 o'clock this evening. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back, everybody. After the break, we had a nice little siesta in the middle of our CSGO cast, which was an exciting moment for all of us to just do whatever you guys do on a Friday night while you're waiting for the next cast to start. So back into it, we have got Marquette, one of the top teams in the league from the fall, one of our senior teams up against the University of Montana, one of the newer teams, along with the University of Idaho. So we're not really sure what to expect other than Marquette is very strong. Nuke is usually only their pick. I don't believe we've seen anybody else pick it. It's a pocket pick for them. They do really well, and they've got some pretty cool strats that come out of it. They're also one of the teams that have custom built structures for each one. So you can see Marquette on the T side right now as Alter, one of the impacted players in there, takes out Pleasant Squid with the taser. Oh man! Who doesn't love those Zeus kills, right?
I personally am a fan of them just because I love the memery that comes with it. But picking up the USP is going to be really good for them, right? It's going to be a better primary than that Glock. And so It allows for long range attacks. And speaking of which, we see another headshot come out, and Marquette is going to win this handedly, I would say. I believe they had 3 players up going into their bonus, buying Mag 10s on T side and some AKs. It's going to be good. I mean, it's good for them, right? You can run and gun with that, get into there. But like you said, they have pre-built teams, right? So they have pre-made structures, like set plays. I feel that's the thing. I want to see if they have any set plays and executes onto these sites on T side.
Oh, for sure. They're one of the most practiced teams in terms of how they go about these. And Nuke is one of the kind of unique places where it really favors aggression, but it favors aggression at different times. Like you can see Alter literally just walked into Mini Garage there, popped off 2, and ran away. But University of Montana, for only having USPs, able to come back and actually get some utility for having invested basically nothing in this round. You see with that 5-7 coming out, getting their 3rd kill. So they're going to make it a little bit more expensive. They're going to see those bank accounts
I love
go
the rat
up
tower
just a little bit. It's going to give them enough to buy here. That's good. Yes, absolutely.
I love the rat tower. That was a really interesting play. They were ratting up in heaven, 3 stacking it up there, but the 2 of them towered up to be able to see the toes, the little pedicure that was given to them near the end, taking out some of those players. It's just refreshing to see change in adaptation and play style coming out from Montana this early on to really give them an advantage. The spray goes in. Texas Toast is made into that and falls, but they still have a decent amount of players left on the board. Going up against a bunch of AKs is going to be stressful, but as long as they can play this well on CT side, they can get some more picks. Room has been made for them, but as soon as it's been taken away. There we go. The trades back and forth. 1 player left for CTs. Montana, they're looking to equal it out. It's the bomb down.
Just losing that battle against Just Switch. But I mean, that was a lot of confidence for Marquette to go up there. I don't know if they were aware of the Marquette player sitting up in heaven. Montana. So that gave the Duck an opportunity to get a cheeky kill there. But you know, when it's 3v1, you're probably feeling pretty confident, so you could understand that misstep. So Marquette in a pretty great position, honestly. Obviously up 3-0. They're forcing Montana onto another save. And Montana, again, we haven't seen them before, so we're not really sure what to expect in terms of their overall performance throughout the state of the match or how familiar they are with Nuke yet. But, I mean, they're making some progress here. That MP7 investment is paying off for them so far. And surprisingly, the MP7 can be like a very strong weapon. It's one of the more underutilized guns in the game, especially compared with the MP9 because of its high fire rate. It's also more expensive, but they're doing pretty well.
That's the second player that they were able to catch off guard. I just realized Marquette, they caught someone through the smoke and now caught someone peeking out of the vents. Are they going to catch another? The jump not working out for them. The spray, the prey, and the win comes forward. Frank goes down, and that is going to be a decent amount of money for Just Rich, who is now currently a very rich with their econ. Hopefully going to drop to their teammates, maybe invest into that economy, get a great level of utility. Just reading that out loud, but it's gonna be tough. Montana, I believe, like you said earlier, they're on a save, so they didn't have as much money. Now that they have the ability to buy weaponry, those M4s, we'll see if they can hopefully combat and maybe pick up some rounds here early on.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where we'll start to see how well prepared for Nuke they are, having come through this. It's definitely one of those maps that has a lot of off angles, a lot of places you can push. You see Squid here just picks off that 2K, pushing in a trophy room. So, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities, and this is uncharacteristic for Marquette. They're just getting caught looking the wrong way over and over again, leaving just Remy, who came back to the team after an absence in fall, and just a flawless round from Montana. So, I mean, I expect that Marquette takes this as feedback, right? They're like, okay, we got a little loose with how we were playing this, so like we got to come back into it with the tight strats that we typically bring to it. But Montana able to shake things up a little bit, push Marquette off of whatever level of comfort they had built up to that point. And that's going to give them an opportunity to build a little bank. They didn't lose a single life. So even if they lose this, they've got some good reserves. They're going to feel pretty strong about that position. And now they just have to deal with this outside aggression for Marquette.
Ooh. Frag goes.
Toast getting there. just getting out.
I mean, he got the frag off, so hopefully it'll slow them down by just a bit. And there is the smoke. It's gonna try and stall them out by a touch, but there's, as you can see, Frank, he's just still a little bit apprehensive of where they are.
Oh my
Just
god,
right
that's
through
so
the
smart.
smokes.
Oh, that was so good. I don't know. There
Break it
is
down.
an intentional one way there. I don't know if that's what he hit exactly because it's been a little while since I've studied that one. But you can see that he got just that gap so he could see through the smoke underneath it so he could shoot people coming through it. And then he moved up aggressively to avoid being sprayed down by jumping up into the vent so the opposing team couldn't see his feet through the
Couldn't
bottom of the smoke.
counter.
Oh my god, that was
Ah,
so friggin' big brain. I
the
love
high
that.
level plays. And speaking of which, Fuzzy pushing onto the site.
Oh no,
Oh
Alter with
man,
that op.
Alter.
This kid is
Oh no.
scary.
Spooky? Scary? He's got the
Yeah.
big boomstick, so.
If I were Montana, I would not be moving anywhere else. Oh, but they're building the one way. Oh, but Alter knows that. He didn't hold it. Oh,
No.
that's going to give them so much space. So now the Duck has an opportunity to move up. They know that he's moved at least into the squeaky area if he isn't actually in there yet. And
Caught one
Alter.
off guard. But that gives them the information.
Oh man, that was
that was a good trade. Hey, good trades all around, though. They're able to secure the round and consistently win out. Loss bonus starting to stack up for Marquette. I still think, though, that I mean, not looking the right way, but at least getting the trade. It's worth it in the long run, holding that angle.
It's worth noting on the Marquette team, Mark is a relatively new player. Just Rich and Remy and Alter in their different times with the team have all kind of taken turns being that crazy frag leader. Migs definitely has his moments as well, although this kid is one of those like six sport athletes, so he kind of goes up and down. No discredit to his ability by any means, but that once you get these players starting to go, especially with these pistols, like they can do just serious damage. And that was what I was talking about with that P250. A little bit inconsistent, but you can get those long distance kills with it. And boy, they're making the best out of it. And that was a little scary. It was almost a rifle over to Alter, which would have been not a great position to be in. But now just Remy trying to hold it down. Going to go down pretty quickly to Frank there, and that's going to be a defuse. So Marquette gets the bomb, gets that $800 bonus, and they're going to try to buy into this next round. Pretty good buy across the board. It'll give them enough to try to get back to that execution that we saw in those first 3 rounds.
In general, this game is just, it's starting to ramp up, and I am excited to see if they can pull some stuff off here. University of Montana, I mean, they are confident they have enough money, so the steam is rolling in their direction. But can Marquette use this buy round to even things out? We've seen them play in this outside area multiple times with some setups and some lineups for their respective pieces of utility. The quick scope from Alter takes out Fuzzy, and Fuzzy has been doing so much damage to them. So getting that as your first frag of the game is definitely a vote of confidence that you can hopefully secure this round. The diligence and patience that we see off of Marquette right now, the fact that they're being a little bit slower is, I mean, hey, they're adapting, they're overcoming, they're trying to change things up, leaving the bomb default.
They're just knocking it down a little bit, and this time, unfortunately, we saw the frag outside coming from the mini hut that they just got away with. I think that was Texas that had gotten away with that. Not the case here for that molly going out, but the Duck playing from this heaven position back and forth to the outside, doing a lot of work for his team. And that's the second kill going over to the Montana side, but it's not going to be enough as the 2 players, Migs and Just Rich, able to secure the bomb site, managed to keep the post plant, everything safe, sound, and ready for an explosion. And Marquette, I feel like, is kind of getting back to the position that they were in for that momentum that they built up in the first couple of rounds. Feeling pretty good about that, I would think. And now that they've kind of gotten those 3 loss rounds out of their system, I'm sure they're going to go for a flawless end to the half. And we'll see what Montana has for it. Because, I mean, they've been keeping these rounds really close, and their execution has been pretty strong.
Flash lineups going out to help. T side pushes away. Texas Toast is able to get the better.
I cannot
Quicker
believe
to
he's
the
gotten away with
draw.
that as many times as
That
he
is
has.
like, is that like the third time it's happened to Heaven play?
Yeah.
Goes out. Migs able to fall alter with that op. I mean, you said it before, they have that dedicated opera on alter, and he's doing numbers for them, taking out some of their top fragging players. There's 4 players left for Montana. That is gotta be stressful for Marquette, especially considering that they just won and they want to keep their momentum going. Low HP for Texas Toast and the Duck. So, I mean, it's almost like a 2v2. They can use them as bait and communicate with each other on playing and peeking together. Right? As long as you have your battle buddy, you know, you keep your battle buddy, you keep your battle buddy safe, right? You know, buddy, you go hand in hand. One person peeks, they die, you get the trade. One person peeks, they die, you get the trade. You win by 2. Or you could just hold a really nice off angle through the glass, break it, and just take them down. At this point, it's almost set in stone. But we've seen crazier things. Alter going for the plants, but they peek out. He's able to get off it, but not away from the spray. They pick up an op, a trophy for their victory. And that is going to be 4-5. I mean, they're creeping up. They had this before where Montana was 1 away from evening things out, but I don't know if Marquette is going to be able to come back from this and like even things out, especially on a lower buy.
Yeah, the key to the success is definitely a combination of the individual play of the Duck, who in so many rounds has been able to peak at exactly the right time when he needs to and get some of those key frags out of the way. And the fact that University of Montana has been holding inside really passively, and it's given them an opportunity to play from the rafters, get just a ton of picks as people try to push into that. They haven't lost anybody outside either that's given up a significant early round advantage, which is kept secret, as well as the rest of outside pretty well safe. But even with that one loss there's people immediately around to help out with that. And a failed Zeus there, Fuzzy Squid, able to secure that bomb. And so now it's Remy and Pickle, or sorry, Squid and Pickle with just 13 health between the two of them. Not so great when you're facing against pistols. And now an M4 somehow 1 HP. Oh, Remy.
1 HP and a dream, but with an AK. I mean, you got the headshots.
Oh man, I feel for that. I mean, how many times have we been in matchmaking and you feel like you got like 1,000 bullets, but none of it? Okay, so
Alter is able to, yeah, he's evening things out.
We've got Pickle here. Pickle's got the op, pretty strong, but he's only got literally 1 HP, and it's not enough.
Yeah,
honestly, if he's got 45 HP there, I think he wins that battle. But
it's just
1
the
HP
spray.
is not enough.
Yeah, you spray through that wall, you get picked off. Marquette's able to win it out through a light buy. I think they were just on pistols. It was the Deeg that was able to get out Texas Toast there in out in the open. Pushing forward onto this A site really aggressively, but they instantly drop.
The vents, baby.
Texas Toast,
classic.
I think he's got to hear them. There's that op shot from Big Pickle. And now they're 2 players down. They're making their way onto site, and so is the Duck. He tries to spray them, but it's Migs who's able to get the upper hand, going off in an off angle, catches someone off guard. It's now even, and the bomb goes down. With the bomb down, they just need to hold it. They catch another off guard. Marquette is playing their game. The comfort level, I can just tell it's increasing by the minute for them as they are just aware of their current situation. Beep, beep, beep. The bomb ticks away. It's ticking away. I mean, it's a very calm moment right now.
If I'm Montana, I'm definitely saving here. Like, that's an easy call. Unfortunately for them, they're going to lose Frank, which was the op, which is the most expensive thing that they could lose. There is enough cash on the side of Montana to buy something into it, but they've lost a lot of expensive equipment over the last few rounds. So as you can see here, $2,100, like they're keeping pretty close to that baseline, which means that they're going to be forced into this light buy scenario. You're going to have to come back into this round and kind of face down at Marquette. So a couple of those early picks, Migs on an individual basis there, stepping up huge, getting 2, and then that 3rd kill from the off angle from Montana, just not looking in the right direction. And that that's what spelled defeat for Marquette so many times. So Montana getting a little taste of their own medicine in that capacity. Now coming out,
Texas.
you see the that auto shotty
Oh.
on Frank could do a lot of damage, but we're gonna have to wait and see where Marquette goes with this,
The
and if
cheese.
Montana's able to make anything from it. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love the cheese. Hey, if you can get some fun cheese strats and hide in a corner, you can change the tide of a round. Maybe get an AK or two for your teammates, still hold it with a shotty and make sure that they don't push on. I was gonna say Texas Toast is just hiding there in a corner. He's being a rat. Those rat plays might win it for them as they're able to pick up better utility, but one on top of Marshmallow gets caught off guard with a USP. It's just so good at those long ranges. The best flash in the game. The best flash in the game. 100% effective.
So now, in a stunning turn of events, I think it's fair to say, Montana has reversed it. They now have more of the guns, a better opportunity, but Migs, not interested in just letting this round go, finds 2 kills, finds his way to the bomb site. He has the bomb, so he's going to plant. He's going to make the best out of a situation that should have been a relatively easy win. They had almost every advantage possible, but he comes and actually makes something out of it. So now Montana has to go into this site very, very carefully. You can see that only Fuzzy Squid, the one without a rifle, is the only one that has armor. And just the right timing and looking the wrong direction is going to spell that for Montana. So they're able to take a terrible situation and turn it into something pretty amazing.
It's those rat plays. You're hiding in a corner. You're hiding in a wall. In most, like, if you're playing a tactical FPS, whether it's Val or CS, you could just hide in a corner, get a couple of those eco kills. Well, ego as well. I mean, you got to have a little bit of that ego to go and hide in a corner and really be like, yes, I am good enough to win out. And Texas Toast was getting that pick and getting that AK for his teammates. I mean, it worked out. Oh.
So now they get another chance at redemption. Marquette still maintains the advantage. They're going fast into the upper bomb site here. We're going to see if they try to drop down again, but they don't. They just go in. Their dominance, you can see the immediate 2 headshots make that a third. Ace. Marquette is the name of the team.
Wow.
Ace, who had been so quiet up until that point, literally just doubled his kills. So that was an aggression, that assertion,
fast round,
absolute violence. And this is exactly what they needed. This is, like I said before, this is a map that favors that aggression, and the faster that you can execute, assuming that the other team hasn't put something significant in your way to slow you down, is an absolutely fantastic way to take that. In fact, it is so fast that a lot of teams on the CT side will just give up the site on purpose and play retake, which is not always the easiest thing to do, but you can see they found that strat that works. And here comes Marquette for round 2. They're playing their biggest hits. That's 3 kills immediately off. And again, we're only 30 seconds into this round.
And the bomb goes down. 2 players left with rifles in hands up against a fork piece. I don't know if they're going to be able to make it. They are calling for someone coming into hut. They're able to catch someone off guard. Migs takes out Fuzzy, and that's one of their star players. They peek out. Marquette is on a roll. 4 rounds up. 4 rounds. I mean, you got that advantage. You got that mental.
Montana, if they can make this 9-6, I'm going to be very impressed with that. Again, considering everything that we've seen so far, Marquette does not mess around, and they are still one of the top teams in the league. So Montana's got to try to build some sort of backstop here, because the T side, it's a little bit easier on Nuke, but it's still difficult when you're a team who thinks that Nuke is fun. So like you gotta deal with that fact for sure. But Montana so far has definitely shown the ability to show up, frankly, and I think that that's hugely valuable and a great testament to the efforts of the team so far coming into this.
I love Nuke because there's Marshmallow, and that's just a cool name to me.
It is indeed. I will give you that.
It's just I love the callouts. I love the callouts. They're funny.
They are. So Marquette has found their way onto the lower bomb site, and now the M24 is such an unpleasant gun. Finds one on a Texas Toast. Pickle was trying to come in and help, but Migs is able to take him out. Now Frank left with just the USP, looks the wrong direction, but he does I almost missed it. He did find Remy there, but
He
all for
did find
naught.
Remy, but not. I mean, if he had that shotgun out, maybe there was some recourse there. But it's just unfortunate, as we see the two top fraggers for Montana up there with 14-15, but the rest of the team kind of not picking up in those frags. And I always say in like statistics, when I look at them, if a team is pretty consistent with their kills, right, they're all across the board have like a decent amount of kills together. Um, it's almost always because they're communicating more and they are therefore usually like the better team. And considering you said Marquette has these set plays, they have this map, they chose it, they enjoy it, it's understandable.
Oh man, I'm
Ooh.
sad that they lost the dualies. Those guns are weirdly meta right now. They're pretty great.
The dualies?
Yeah, they're really cheap right now, and they've got 40 bullets, so you can just click, 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 and they're weirdly good at distance. So if you're trying to go for a high damage play, especially T side, just running in, and you don't want to spend the amount of money to get like a Tech 9 as an example, a lot of the times you'll buy your armor, your 650 version of that without the head armor, buy your dualies, and then just run in like the Juggernaut. So that almost would have worked. Unfortunately, because he was at the front of the pack, he just had some bad luck and got picked off there.
Montana wins.
But I mean, you look at this health, you can see how close they were in terms of just like the aim and mechanics battles. So Montana, I think, has an idea that like, okay, now it's possible. We can figure out where some of these weaknesses are. We can pursue this and we can make the best out of it. So again, coming into this without really any expectations built up from the Montana team, without the history that we have with Marquette, they're showing up pretty well. And you know, the scoreline is 5-11, but I don't think that's reflective of how close a lot of those rounds have been. So we're continuing to build out there.
Pushing out through Squeaky, cheeky kills.
I probably would have put a smoke down there before you tried to go for vents, but you know,
yeah, you rush it, run
die and
B.
learn, I guess.
Well, the more that they learn, the more that they can push forward. But if it makes way for Montana, it might not be good. A shot coming out from Rem. He's able to get him. I believe is going to be in favor. Oh, the moment I say, I was like, I think it's going to go in favor of Montana for once. And they take down one. It wasn't a flawless round exactly. Showing off the skin as always. They're going for the hunt, trying to find the last two players, seeing if they can grab them near the end. Catching one more off guard. That's Frank going down. The duck being left alone for Montana. Yeah, it's just a touch unfortunate.
Yeah, but hey, it happens. It's Counter-Strike. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, the rounds are a lot longer. We see some team foolery, and it's always fun. Oh, good trigger discipline, catches one off guard, seeing if they can catch another. Picking up a better piece of weaponry, but it's a double peek. They know that he's there, and it's just a matter of time. One goes down, there's another right there to trade them. Counter-terrorists win. The click of the guns as everyone is getting ready, thinking about their strategies, how they're going to push forward. It's such a mountain to climb for Montana.
Yeah, it is. But again, perfectly capable of doing so once you get some of that weaponry back in their hands. You can see here, with the exception of Squid, they've got their AKs back. They have a pretty good amount of utility. So now it's definitely about how they use it. Migs, as you can see, playing from the hut, just generally Marquette's got a really good understanding of this map. They play it a lot, and you can see Remy, I don't think they were expecting him to be playing from that position, and so they just got caught out. See those dualies that he picked up from round one being his backup to the scout. So I mean, Montana is playing this pretty well. They're trading pretty well, and you can see Marquette just down to 2 there, but they're not able to deal with some of these threats that are coming from positions where I just don't know if they were ready to swing them, but they're coming out on top here. They're going to be able to get the bomb down here behind the tower, and it's going to be just Rich with that FAMAS. So he's outgunned in this position, but he's got 2 players that are just a couple bullets from death. So is depending on what he finds and if he's able to get an opening kill, this could still be Marquette's round, but otherwise Montana in a pretty good position to take away this next round.
And that's hopefully going to give them a seed of possibility, a seed of hope, something for them to push forward on. They're able to save 2 AKs, so that's gonna provide them at least some more utility in the next round. Yeah, there's not enough money to go around for Marquette, unfortunately. So they're gonna be going on to a save. If they can pull some stuff off here, Montana has a high probability of winning. Never say never, especially because Marquette probably has some set plays for these ecos on how they're gonna play it.
I'm
Flashes.
really curious to see how this goes, because I think this is kind of I think this is the first eco that Marquette's doing on CT side for them, and they're very good with Deagles.
Ooh,
You can see Remy obviously
yeah.
sending that message to the duck over there, and Mig sitting there with a 5-7 trying to bait out that progression into that side. So they
Oh,
don't care. You
that's
just
the
see
bomb.
headshots, and suddenly, just like we saw Montana do in the reverse situation, they pulled a really difficult
Mm.
situation out. And now are actually in a pretty advantageous position, especially if they can pick up one of these rifles. Oh
Oh,
no.
getting caught off guard. Migs takes out Fuzzy Squid. And there's an AK on site. A site's being controlled by one guy. They try their best, but it doesn't work. Picking up a victory prize for themselves. Marquette, I mean, those deagles are powerful. One shot to the head and crispy aim is all you really need.
Yeah.
Crispy
And
aim.
it sounds so delicious. I'll take it.
Yum. I'll order 5, please. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that will be to go. All right. Thank you. Oh, only $5.99? Delicious. But all jokes aside, it's gonna be again, it's hard for Montana right now, and it's as a caster, I mean, how like I don't know exactly what is the X factor for Marquette that is allowing them to win all of these rounds, but I know that they are just playing the game so perfectly. The absolute aggression right there, only to be met with the barrels, a gun barrel. Just there's an AK right there holding them off, catching another player off guard. They're just playing so well on this CT side, taking aggression where they need to. If they know that there isn't anyone in a space, like they peek, they flash, and there's like, all right, it's dry, no one's here, we'll just take that space and we'll surround them and encompass them. So all the aggression coming from Montana, it's not going to help them, because Marquette is able just to counter it by playing slow when they need to and taking space where they can.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things where the work and experience of Marquette really shows through in a lot of what they're doing. And the aggression now, this is the type of oppressive aggression that I mentioned that DePaul would try to implement. We saw that a little bit on Mirage in some of those rounds, although UConn did a pretty good job of repelling that. Marquette's going to do the same thing. They're just going to try to throw bodies at it, and it's going to be very difficult to overcome that. You can see those early frags, and then Alter, who's just this incredibly skilled opper, doing the same thing. So they're playing on a map that they're very familiar with. They're playing a much more aggressive game than they were. They're all over the place, and that's got to be really frustrating. These last couple of rounds, I think Marquette has found that level of confidence. It took them a little bit of time to spin up, but now you can see them just starting to roll and use that momentum to just demoralize Montana and make these rounds a lot less close than they were. Again, there's a lot of these rounds that could have been 50-50. This game easily could have been, like, I don't know, 9-9 at this point. Well, sorry, my math is not good at this moment. That's not the correct number. But it could have been certainly a lot closer than what we're seeing right now.
The push through the smoke, only to be met with a spray. Texas Toast gets one with the Bison, but I don't think that's going to be enough. The AKs are just too powerful. You can spray them all down. Pushing in, the long range battle is won. Alter with the op. That is a CT victory, and Marquette wins the set here on Nuke.
I think it's safe to say that we set the bar pretty high for Montana coming into this, putting them against Marquette in their opening round. Marquette maintains one of those incredibly high positions in the league. They're very well practiced, and we're playing a map that we don't see very often. It is, I think, as far as I can remember, maybe with one exception, Marquette is the only team that plays Nuke. And as a result of that, they're pretty practiced on it, while others are probably going to be continuing to focus on those core maps that we see time and time again. One of those, which we'll be going to next on Inferno. So when we come back and we come into this next match, we're going to see if Marquette's able to assert their dominance, continuing to focus on what I really like to describe as that oppressive defense, especially pushing down mid and everything, or if they're going to be on a little bit more equal footing, a little bit like what we saw from the UConn DePaul matchup. So we'll find out next. But anything that you want to add to what we just saw there, nerds? All right, cool.
Yeah, I'm just like thinking, I'm like processing it. Montana, they played really well, and there was a lot of close rounds, like you said. It's just unfortunate. I think it's in those tight situations when you are in like a 1v2, a 1v3, because Marquette just has more practice on it. They just have the advantage. Because even if it's like a 1v1 and you think, oh, it's going to be 50-50, there's also a lot of situations where if you've been practiced on a map, it's just almost like guaranteed for you to like know, okay, this is an off angle, this is an on angle, this is where people like to rat around. And even if Montana thinks, okay, our strategy is really good for this, there's probably a way for Marquette to combat it. So it's just unfortunate lining up.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they can overcome that when we get to Inferno. So we are going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to see Montana start on the T side of Inferno and see what kind of damage they can do. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Welcome back, everybody, to map number 2 of Marquette University versus the University of Montana, the newcomer into the spring split. Really good effort showing, not so good in terms of the actual numbers they get put up. You can see that Marquette won their first map, their map pick of Nuke. So Montana coming back here, they picked Inferno. They're going to start on the T side, and we're going to see, like I said before the break, what kind of damage they can do. I think we saw a lot of really great moments of brilliance from the University of Montana team that showed under the right circumstances, they can play with the best of them, Marquette being one of the best. So we're going to see as they start off, you can see a lot of aggression moving towards the B banana site. Two of those players just trying to get those early picks. A little bit of chip damage from the grenades, largely unaffected. Otherwise, across the map, Alter finds the duck. So we're starting to see those trades coming in back and forth. So this split effort from Montana doing some interesting work, not something you normally see on the T side pistol, where most of the time you expect them to stick together more frequently.
You rush a
And you can
site,
see,
yeah, get in there.
or, like maybe there's a little bit of a misdirect. There's, like a split or a waterfall or something like that. But really here, they just kind of went for it. And now Montana is starting to gather at the top of mid, looking towards favoring that. You can see Ace here sitting and holding that angle. He's going to see the first one, take that shot, and there goes Pickle. But the immediate trade is going to open up that site a little bit. But that flank is coming in so fast, and they were ready for it, but not ready enough.
And that's a trade there. There's two in mid, but they're getting pinched. Has to pull away. He doesn't want to get caught off guard, but there's the bomb. It's down. They peek. It's 1 versus 1. 14 HP for Fuzzy Squid up against a full HP Migs. It's gonna be deadly. It's gonna be hard running all the way over to the site. He's able to win out. The crispy aim out wins it. That's Peeker's advantage for you. Don't think that. Well, I mean, you can put it into the water, but the poor fishies. I want to blow them up. It's disrespectful.
Yeah, you feel bad every time. Yeah. Rest in peace. Great round from Montana. Again, a little unorthodox in terms of the split, and frankly, my expectations of what we would see in their opening round. It's not one of the set strats that we've seen from most of the teams here, anyways. But it doesn't matter because the result is the same. You can see Marquette going for that oppression. You can see them rushing down mid. There is a little bit of expertise or expectation, excuse me, from Montana of that as they've left one person at T ramp. But Squid not able to deal with the threat just yet, but he is forced to go back down into T ramp while the rest of the team has moved onto site. And they're there, and Alter comes through, finds Fuzzy Squid. That's going to give a MAC 10 over to the side of Marquette. And they've got nothing to do but to try for this. So they're going to go for this 4v2 with that USP and the MAC 10. Not finding a lot of value out of it, except for that dink onto Duck that's going to lead to just another person going down there. Montana played that perfectly. They had the timing right. They felt that pressure. They ran onto site. Love where it was going. I love the way that they closed that out. So great first 2 rounds from the Montana Grizzlies.
The jumping in on them.
Yeah, if you got a MAC 10, you got to take advantage of it.
You got a MAC 10. Yeah, of course. Of course. I mean, hey, it's the run and gun, the spray and pray.
Yeah, it's just one of the many instruments in the orchestra.
Speaking of which, we're seeing a decent amount of instruments for both sides. Both Montana and Marquette have a decent amount of rifles, AKs and M4s. As right now, it's just going to be very slow. A good default as we see from Montana. Ooh. Shots go out, but Alter not winning out, actually losing a decent chunk of their HP. Not dead just yet. They have the op, so they can just hold an angle.
I was going to point out, Alter being on that op is super dangerous for mid. I mean, we saw it from the first round, just like a little taste of his ability there. And unfortunately, the trade-off here was he couldn't afford armor, and neither could any of his teammates. So he ends up taking quite a bit of damage just to a MAC 10. And because they didn't upgrade, they're actually getting quite a bit of value out of that. But the rest of the Marquette team, they've got limited armor, so these MAC 10s actually could be super effective against it. It's just who wins which.
The peak goes out. There is a smoke. It's the MAC 10 that wins. Frank wins out. Low HP, but hey, you got your life, and that is getting your life is almost worth it. They pick up a MAC 10, an M4 for a MAC 10, a good trade. You're getting yourself some more value. The smokes are on site. You're clearing all the angles methodically. There's one on top of Fountain. I don't think they're gonna see him. Ooh, a little bit of team spray there, but it's not to their detriment. Montana still has the advantage here. Alter can't hold an angle anymore. with an op. He needs to push in with his teammates. They're catching one off guard. Migs is trying to make some room for there as he's going for that re-entry onto site. Holding it with an op, maybe a quick scope kill, no scope kill. We love to see it, but they're just hiding away. They know that if we at least can win this round, we can keep our momentum and our mental. We have enough money. We have enough time. It's just an AK and a dream. He's able to get one. Alter goes down. That's the one with low HP. Now you have to deal with the one with the most HP. This could be an influential round for Montana to start winning more and more. Marquette loses the operator that, oh, sorry, the op. Ada, so it's an op and val as well. I'm sorry. My brain's conditioning is kicking in. You know, but all memes aside, that op is so expensive, and losing it this early on is going to be to the detriment of Marquette, especially because it was Alter, the person who is cracked with it, who is one of their top fragging players, who had that op.
Yeah, now Montana's in this great position. They got plenty of money in the bank. They've mostly kept people alive, at least intermittently, so they've held on to utility. And Marquette here, you can see some ops or some armor and some deagles, which not doing the same kind of damage we saw on the previous map. All of this seems to be going in favor of Montana. I mean, what we've seen these last couple of rounds come down to those spray and pray kind of fights, and it's worked really, really well for Montana as they're just continuing to take up space. And you can see Marquette here getting more aggressive, going for that AK that they know down in mid. But unfortunately, Texas Toast hanging out there, just doing so much damage. Just Rich trying to hide in the back of sight, not able to find any value for that investment in the deagle. And Ace just sitting on top of mid does find Texas Toast. So they're going to get a little consolation out of it. Whether or not they decide to go any further with it, it seems like that's the right choice. It is the right choice, and it seems like that's what they're going with. So,
but there's the hunt. They're trying to find him. A big pickle, and seems like they're trying to find him, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get it. The duck is just holding an angle. He's just holding banana to make sure that they're not going to get pushed, but it's not going to work out. Just hiding up there, looking at the view, having a fun time, as they reminisce about the good old days of the last round where they were doing so, I mean, they were doing so well. And
yeah,
there's
got to feel really good for Montana. I mean, 4-0 going into this, especially against a team like Marquette, is got to feel really, really good. Marquette's going to be able to buy up here, so we're going to get them back into a position of strength, and we're going to see if Montana can hold on to this lead again. That first round, or that first map, excuse me, 16-6. Definitely favored Marquette, obviously, in terms of the scoreboard and the results that we saw there. But the individual rounds were pretty close. That's a point that we made earlier. And I think you're seeing the benefit of being on equal footing in terms of an understanding of the map. I would posit to say that Marquette probably had more experience on Nuke, which you saw, again, those moments of brilliance from Montana, but ultimately it wasn't enough to bring home a victory. So this is an opportunity to get a little bit of revenge on that, and they seem to be making the most of it so far.
Gotta come back. We gotta come back. I mean, it's their map pick, and that's the thing where you have your map pick. You kind of are comfortable with that. You would hope that teams win on their map pick. I mean, there is a lot of counterplay to come with it, especially as we saw earlier in the day on Ancient. It didn't work out as well as we hoped it to, but I mean, most of that stuff happens. It's still, I mean, it's very close. It's 4-5, but with a big pickle being at 20 HP, that's not a big vote of confidence for their longevity. Still, it could be a false long.
Given the op over him at this point, just to kind of take advantage of, you know, efficacy, bullets, and damage per point of HP. I guess you could say. So I mean, they're pushing up slowly into this. I don't think that they're aware that Just Rich is sitting there, but it doesn't matter because Frank wins the battle. So that means that now the B site is opening. We see, I think it's Migs coming in from the site here. There's might be a little bit of a gap in the smoke. He's gonna get the sense, and he hears the footsteps, and he sprays through it, finding the duck. So not a lot of HP going on to this site, and now that's going to be enough for the Marquette team to start the rotation. You can see Alter is hanging out on the A site just for anything to happen. Bombs down, so now they're just playing for the retake, and Ace making his way onto site. Going to completely sidestep Texas Toast there. He does find the opening kill. The second kill, that's huge.
Yeah, and there's the defuse. It goes down and it goes out. It's going to be the first victory for Marquette and a very well executed retake. It was really slow. Nothing too they weren't necessarily, they didn't need to push out. They didn't need any of that. They just took it slow and took it patiently. We see two, I believe that's two ops, and then
Yep.
oh yeah, for some reason I thought it was three ops for a second there, but Caster Math and
That would be
Caster
a
Brain.
lot.
That would be it would be a lot
Two could be a
invested.
lot. Yeah.
Two is already a decent amount, but three ops, I mean, you're holding every single angle imaginable at that point. Quick peek onto mid, doesn't catch one off guard just yet, but they know that they're there. They take advantage of the pattern, and they're able to get one. Duck gets another. That's two players down already. The trade in numbers goes out, so at least it's 3-3. But this entry, it's being dismantled just a bit. They had the advantage, but they still need to push on, so they just lost some of their players, and it was unfortunate. The spray goes down, and it's again looking in favor of Marquette, but the plant it's effective. They get it. And as soon as I
they
say
got that
that,
down without clearing Migs from pit. That's a really dangerous thing when you know someone is there and you're just like, whatever.
why not?
We'll just do it.
I mean, at the end of the day, they still have a lot of advantages. They were able to get him down, and now, oh man, it's just up to Fuzzy Squid.
I like his positioning. I mean, like, this is the best possible place to play from when it's just yourself. The downside to that is the fact that he doesn't have any visibility onto the site, so he's got to spray through it. No,
fake.
Oh,
and there we go. He just gets knifed there in the end as Fuzzy needed to reload. You get the most amount of money for it, though.
He just didn't get that spam down in time, and he decided to go for it instead. But I don't know.
That's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Sometimes you think that they tap or they fake, but it didn't work out for them. I would have just, I don't know. In that situation, you have two players. One person just sticks, the other person covers. So I would have expected them to pop out myself, but
yeah,
I guess that's why
they
play
from Marquette, and that's why they ended up with that second round on the board. And so Marquette able to hold on to both of those ops. They held on to both. Yeah, they held on to both of them in the end. They had to pick it up after the Duck finished it. Yep. No, oh my god, my brain is not working. They only had one person left at the end of the round, so they managed to keep one op over. They bought a second one. Yeah. So now full strength still. They managed to take out the Duck, who'd been a huge pain in the butt the last time around. And that's going to be two players down for the side of Montana as they go through it. And because of their positioning, just spamming through that wall.
The op is so useful. It's so useful, but then they're just both ratting around and hiding together. Quicker to the draw. There's the trade going out. Bomb is down in Banana. And that is 5 players left for Marquette. They're starting to slowly bring their confidence back up and assert dominance in this game. CT's win, and it's just crazy to see. The double op on such good players, especially. It's super powerful. Yeah. Alter just being really good as that dedicated opper, and Rem just having that capability to hold an angle and to really lock down any area of the map that they're peeking or looking at. It's going to be difficult for Montana to peek any angle dry. They're going to need those flashes, that smokes, the utility to really make progress and make way in this match.
Yeah, absolutely. And the best way to deal with that is just get up close and put as much pressure as you possibly can on those positions that you know that they're playing from. And for the most part, they're keeping that consistent. You can see that Remy has generally been playing back from that grill position, falling back, as you can see, as they moved back with a little bit more information coming from the Ace site. Ace holding that arch side is just continuing to put a little bit of pressure and, not give up more space than they need to, but playing conservatively enough that, as they've done pretty well, they know Montana could come into these pretty hot and get some of those kills. They've been punished for it in the past, so they're playing significantly more conservatively, and that's going to be to the absolute angst of Montana, as they're just trying to find something, right? They need some amount of opening damage, and so far they're not getting it.
There's the bomb. It goes down. One player left on Fuzzy Squid. They peaked again. Texas Toast is at 6 HP. 6 HP in a dream, but I don't know how effective that is going to be. Peeks out, trying to antagonize them, but Fuzzy Squid and Texas Toast go down. Altered Migs, both of them just holding that angle together. it allows for such effective teamwork and coordination when your team is just comfortable and confident holding things and being confident that your other teammate can take out and get that frag, so then you don't have to worry about it. It's like I'm okay. Like I can stay here. If my teammate can trade me. My teammate doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't spook me a lot. There we go. The quick peek, the quick scope from Alter taking out Frank. He spots out another. The duck doesn't duck enough. Alter getting a third, I believe, on the board. And Texas Toast with 17 HP is just kind of just stuck, right? Like, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, that's
he sprays it down, but doesn't get it.
Oh no.
Oh,
That's just
top of his head, the dome, the chrome, it's out there.
so the easy, well, easy, if that's a hard question or a hard thing to say, if you give enough utility, throw some flashes, throw some grenades, and put a lot of pressure on that, you can deal with those ops pretty effectively. The worst thing that you can do is end up stuck in that T-ramp position and just feed one-on-one, and that's exactly what we saw in that last round with Alter.
Unfortunate.
Just feasting on those players as they were trying to make the most of it, and you know they were so blind that they were just didn't know what was happening, and before you know it, it's all over. So now they've got to come into this position being aware of Alter obviously being in a great position of influence there and impact, and make something happen for it. These aggressive peaks are going to be what we will continue to see. And so Montana has to, I think, move from these defaults into something that's a more coordinated attack on each site. We haven't seen them go back to B in a while since the last round that they won there. So I'd love to see a little bit more of an attack there, maybe a little bit of aggression, especially considering that one of those two players on B is still that off.
Oh, but the kill goes out. Alter, he's able to grab two, and they're just holding this angle. Fuzzy Squid is able to get one, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. I feel like if you could take those ops out, you can have a shot at winning. But again, like I was saying earlier, you need that utility. You can't just peek dry. Good that they smoked themselves off so they can at least cross, but how effective are they going to be? There's the peek with the op. He's able to get one. Alter, deadly precision and deadly aim. Franks and Fuzzy both go down. Holy is the correct response. I would say the same. It's just how do you combat such a dominant player on such a dominant map? You gotta start stacking it up with utility. Hey, maybe one round you just dump a bunch of util on him, and who knows? They'll go down.
I mean, honestly, like a triple nade up mid, it's expensive in terms of the investment you got to make to accomplish that, but it can be totally worth it, especially if you get Alter down to say like 10 HP, you know? Missing a smoke there. Unfortunately, oh my gosh, the double op is just too powerful. They're wreaking havoc on Montana just as they're trying to get out of spawn, and Alter just seems completely unfallible. I don't think he's missed a shot. They got one kill from that Alter.
No shot.
Alter, I don't know. I think he's only reloaded maybe like twice over the course of the last 3 rounds. So
maybe in that round he didn't miss anyone. But the thing is that once you start like spiraling like this, and it's just you have been losing consistently, it's such a mental drain on you guys to keep pushing forward. But that's the thing, you got to have that mental 0-0. Like we're playing, it's like round 1, right? We win this, we lose this, we push forward. It doesn't matter regardless of the situation. There's a little bit of a fight going on there. We finally see a missed shot, but it's Migs who's going to be going off, gets 3. Most of the team goes down. Ace gets another one, and there we go. Alter almost falling, but in the end, he was able to get it, but not with the op, with a Deeg instead. I mean, hey, you can call it a little hand cannon, a pocket op, headshot, and boom, they're gone. But at the end of the day, they were not able to take them out.
I think the important takeaway from Montana there is the fact that they got a flash that was effective, and that pushed Alter immediately back to the fallback position. So it freed up mid, give them a lot of more space. They didn't really have anything to follow up with, so not a lot that they could do there. But that was the best way to remove him from that position that has held them hostage for so long. And now we can see Montana a little bit more confidence under them, playing on the harder side of this map, able to find their opening kill. They're paying a lot of HP for it, and Remy continuing to wreak havoc down this, but they've got to put more utility down in that, and we're just not seeing, I think, effective use of flashes. And they're running out of them, so they have to be able to use them efficiently to get the last the 2 ops that are still there, and now they have to contend with Just Bridge here with the M24 just doing silly things.
The spray, the prey, and then hopefully the frag. There we go. They peek into altar, but that's not enough. He just peeks out again. Someone needs to build one for him. Someone needs to build one for him. If you understand it, you understand it. Texas
All right, they finally got him.
takes down altar. He's gone. The beacon, the altar is gone in all senses of the word. Hopefully that'll give him at least some recourse. But it's oh my god.
I hate that gun so much.
You don't like
use that word often. No, it's terrible. I mean, like the Negev is only slightly better, but it's also something that
I love the Negev. It's such a meme.
Weirdly effective on Inferno specifically because you could literally, take all of the bullets in that insanely large magazine.
Altar has enough to buy another op.
And there's just so little you can do about it. Yeah, they have so much money on it.
Oh
They've been
my
on this
god.
win streak for so long. The positive side of that is that Montana is able to put together like a reasonable buy, but unfortunately they continue to look at this as if they are able to outflank an op, but these two players on the ops between Alter and Remy are just too good. They don't miss often enough to take that chance.
That's the thing. I mean, you're peeking into angles like this, just Ram. He's doing so much damage. They're just running it in there. Okay, just Rich pulling off some stunts there, giving away their position, but it doesn't even matter because when you spray thousands of bullets and rain them upon your enemies, it doesn't matter. Eventually you'll take them down. And that's the thing. This is a very interesting matchup.
That's the exact situation that I mentioned that we could probably expect, right? Marquette, once they get that confidence under them and know that they can bully the other team, that's what they'll do. They'll control top mid. They'll push aggressively into alt. They'll push all the way up banana because Montana is forced to give them space because they have to respect these ops in the positions that they are. The ops are not missing. You can see the double shots, 1 from 1 right there with the M249 and another shot from Alter. I mean, like it's just insane how difficult it is to do that.
I thought I just heard a player say, "Holy cow." I think that was our production.
No, that's our producer.
I think that's our production. And I'll say, I agree. I agree, Prod. That was intense.
Yeah, that was a tough
crazy.
It was a little tough now at the end. So in my opinion, one of those rounds, probably like round 11, round 12, that's a time to take a timeout. Like you would definitely want to try to get those resets wherever you can, take whatever space and just take a breath. And that's going to create a big space for you. But now University of Montana is just going to go straight into the second half and they're going to have to do everything for it. They have done quite a bit of damage with the nades. They're trading out here as Marquette starts to get onto site, but looking the wrong way. Texas Toast going to be the last person on site, and he is now gone. So it's up to the rest of the University of Montana squad to come in and find those kills, but it is not going well. So now everything rests on Frank. Unable to close it out. So Just Rich came into that round almost down to half health, only lost 1 more bullet's worth, and comes out pretty strong. So Marquette up to that 12-round lead over Montana. This is starting to get scary for the Grizzlies.
Man, this is deja vu. It's such an intense matchup between the two of them. And Montana has just been, dare I say, making some small errors that just are unfortunate. Right? It's just a slight unfortunate situation. They're on CT now, so they do have some advantages here, and I hope that is going to start changing their tide. This is their map pick, so I have some confidence that they set plays, they think of things, they have strategies for this CT side, especially playing on the second half. But I don't know, with 12 rounds up, they have 12 rounds on them. It's going to be difficult. Oh, Fuzzy Squid playing like a rat. I mean, that's honestly in this situation, you do it. Oh, the trigger discipline to wait it out to see if anyone else shows up. And there we go. Ace goes down, but he sprays. And that's the thing with the P90. You could just move around and shoot, inspecting the gun, but still he's able to draw it out, get the victory.
That should have been a kill. Absolutely. But that's the tough thing. I mean, you come into this with a base pistol, you've got to accept the fact that you're not going to be able to lay down as much damage, especially if you're missing some of those early headshots. So it was a great plan. he didn't check, and he absolutely deserved not to walk away from that, but somehow manages to pull it back with that P90. So that's going to
Oh
give them
my,
another round here with just Frank
the
trying to do their
rats.
best. So we're now in a situation where Marquette's up on their 13th round. Montana down 9 rounds in total, has 3 rounds left in this half before victory is called for Marquette. So they're now coming into the position where they're able to buy. Not a lot. Nominally, Fuzzy Squid there, just with the MP9, can be very scary and very effective on this map, depending on how it's used. However, the Montana team, after they gave up so many of those end of half rounds, has just continued to be bullied. So they've got to
It's
really come
hard.
up with a stop here.
Oh, that was a interesting opening with just a deagle in hand. They were able to make way and take out the duck. Just Rich on low HP. It is very close to the end of this game, or for Marquette, they can just wrap this up in a couple of rounds. So stress is building. Flashes go out to hopefully clear and push onto site. Just waiting, trying to
Big
see.
for
Hey,
Toast.
what? Yeah, where are they? I do like the bait from the back. He's able to get one, maybe another one, but no, Migs quick to the draw. He's able to get the trade. It's back and forth, 2v2, a deagle and a dream for Rem, but Migs with an AK, they have a decent amount of weaponry to win this out. The spray goes down. Marquette wants to secure this and have them win, but so does Montana. They want to keep themselves alive in this game, but it's all for naught. 14-4. So many rounds up with one last player standing. Montana, you guys put up a great fight in that round. That was a really close round between the two of them, down to the wire.
That's definitely one of those situations where literally one thing going the other direction is a W instead of an L for the Montana squad. If Toast playing from that pit position gets one more kill off of that, or waits just a little bit longer before putting that down, could have been completely different. Unfortunately, not the case. And Marquette continuing with the aggression, just trying to bully Montana back into their sights. It's going to be a 2-for-1 trade in favor of the Marquette squad. So now we can see Marquette's sitting up with just 2 players. That's all they really need to try to put that aggression in. They're going to find a second pick, and they're going to just try to clear out bomb site. There's one more on site that tries to put it up, but Pickle goes down. And now it's 4 of the Marquette players left against just 1 player without much of an armament on the side of Montana. There's just an M4, no utility left to do much about it.
Yeah, 1 player left. Texas Toast. It's just they're hunting him down. You know, they want to find him. He's gonna hide and try and get some exits, holding a dubious but rat angle. So at least it's gonna be some. I say dubious because the door, it's, you know, it's like a piece of paper that's blocking you, and you get caught off guard by not having any of your corners checked. The spray of confidence. 15. We're on to the last and potentially final round for this game.
We'll see if Montana can pull off a miracle. I mean, at this point, obviously, they're playing for the tie. It's been a rough road for them. I think after their opening 4 rounds, they have given up 15 in a row, and that is incredibly demoralizing for any team. But they're not out of it. And again, I think one big point of feedback would be that it's perfectly okay to take a timeout. You've got plenty of them and plenty of time to use up for that. So you should do that when you are starting to feel a little overwhelmed. It doesn't feel like Montana's really had the opportunity to take a breath. And that's super important, especially in this game where for them, literally just getting 1 round somewhere in there is a great way to break up the momentum, get a little bit more confidence under you, and then go at the attack again. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case. Now we're at 15. There is no margin for error. And when it's 4v4 favoring Marquette just slightly in terms of the HP, it's a very difficult spot to be in.
Yeah, it stresses me out even just thinking about it, looking at it. Like I'm watching this and even I'm thinking like that's kind of spooky. Like it's hard enough for you to push in and do a lot of damage. I mean, we see some SGs on the side of Marquette, so they have that long range capability. They have the scopes. They have, you know, the utility, and you're going up against this team that's so difficult. It's so hard to push out against them. I could see the stress in Montana. And that's the thing. Sure, timeouts favor both teams where you can both rethink your strategy. But if you need to break up the momentum and that's all, like, you don't know what else you can do, it's not a bad thing. I 100% agree with you, Viking. You got to take those timeouts. You got to have those breaks. If you can stutter them, if you can stutter them in any way, just like make them trip a little bit. With that double op setup that they had, Alter was just being a beast, dominating,
Yeah.
absolutely dominating. And if you had any capability to just time out right then, like, all right, guys, it's 2 ops. We cannot be peaking these ops. We need to
Yeah.
play slow, methodically, and like rethink how we fight against them. Maybe like screw it. Everyone gets 2 flashes. We flash the daylights out of him. Make sure that their monitor is so bright that they can't have any, like, they can't aim at all. So hey, and we can push in and we can take it. But without that like without having a breath, like, all right, let's think of something. It's just difficult.
It is indeed. So that ends up being another W for the Marquette squad. This one a little bit more dominant fashion, and an admirable effort from Montana. Again, their first outing with us here in EGFC season 4. We're going to come back next week and we're going to see what they can do against their next opponents. So the same thing is going to be for Marquette, who's continuing to chase those leaderboards with UConn falling to DePaul. That's going to give them that opening, that opportunity to move up again. And we've still got one more match of Idaho versus RIT coming up after this. So we are going to go back and see if someone from Marquette's available for an interview so we can get a little bit in info onto the inner workings of those minds as they played through those 2 maps. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You don't need an invitation. I already know what you're saying. I love a little conversations, and I don't want you to go changing. Cause girl, you're just so comfortable. Girl, you're just so comfortable. Girl, you're just so comfortable. You just feel it all too. Cause girl, you're comfortable and let's go. Feels so good just when I roll through. And I just think it's so crazy what you do to me. Girl, you're the baddest thing, you know that. And I really need you to show it. So turn around, let me get you on the cold. Situation. We don't spend time hesitating. And I wouldn't say we're crazy in love. I would just say we're crazy enough. Cause girl, you're just so comfortable. Girl, you're just so comfortable. Girl, you're just so comfortable. You just feel it all too. Cause girl, you're comfortable and let's go. Feels so good just when I roll through. And I just think it's so crazy what you do to me. Girl, you're the baddest thing, you know that. And I really need you to show it. So turn around, let me get you on the cold. Baby, I'm with you if you gon' be down. Cause girl, you're just so comfortable.
Welcome back, everybody, to our post game. We've got our boy Miggs here, the captain of the Marquette squad, enjoying that post game feast. Miggs, welcome back. You're no stranger to the hot seat here. It's another victory, another dub up there. You're currently in the chase for those top spots. We saw UConn drop to DePaul earlier in a very close matchup. Huge ups to those teams for the improvements that they made. Today, you opened up the spring split with a brand new team to the league, University of Montana. So talk me through the prep of your team, the game plan that you brought into this with the limited information you had about them.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing was just going to be playing our own game. With the question mark that was Montana, we knew that we're not going to have a lot of VODs to go off of. You could search their Faceit pages, and they might have games together in pugs, but that's not really something that you can go off of. So we just decided, let's just play our own game. We had to have Remy sub in. Obviously, Tyler, you know Remy from the past. A lot of people in the chat probably know Remy from the past. Um, he's obviously still a student, but just stepped away from CS. But we had him step in today, and we enjoyed it. We just had fun, and yeah, I mean, the result came out to be not necessarily what we expected, but I mean, we kind of hit the we like to punch people around, so yeah.
So I wanted to ask, because you guys are one of the only teams here that plays Nuke. How many, like, you guys have set plays? How do you guys go about training Nuke against in like scrims and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, with EGF, we kind of combine our rosters from our varsity team and our JV team. So Ace uh is a guy on our JV team. He did well today. So props to him. Obviously, Remy stepped in, but Remy's been on our Nuke in the past. Like last year, Remy was the IGL of Nuke, and
Oh,
so now that our roster's changed up a bit, I mean, we still have set plays. Um, a lot of it is running at people, and a lot of people know that. Like we do on Nuke, our T side is just running at
yep.
people, and it works. And when if teams like DePaul and Connecticut were to go against us on Nuke, obviously we would change it up, have more of the strats that are in our back pocket. But when we are feeling our aim and stuff like that, we can just go ahead and just kind of hit our more fast executes and just play around that, and it worked. So yeah.
To move on to the second map, actually, in the beginning, you guys were 0-4. How did that like? How'd you guys find the mental to come back?
I think a lot of it was I obviously the first 3 rounds were based off of the pistol. The 1v1, obviously, I forget who hit it, but I was in CT and I got absolutely Ferrari peaked beyond no belief. I didn't even see him and I was dinked. And so, I mean, losing the pistol, obviously, you lose the following. First gun round, we kind of got caught out a bit. And I mean, they were aggressive. We weren't expecting some of the stuff off the bat from them. And but once we kind of dialed it back in, obviously, having Remy in there, he hasn't played B on Inferno with with Just Rich in forever. So just getting that dynamic set down, and then obviously getting the biggest thing is getting an op into Alter's hands, and that was the fifth round. That was the fifth round,
Yeah.
Yeah, of
and
course.
and Alter went from whatever it was 1-4 to ending that half 20-6. So or 25-6. Sorry, 25.5 is just ridiculous. The kid, I don't know.
It's an
He's got
absolute machine.
he's still got
Yeah.
2 more. He's a sophomore. He's still got 2 years here. Like
Oh
he is
gosh.
he
He's gonna be
him
a menace for a while.
I between Alter and I'd say Chris for the top 2 uppers of EGF, so for for sure.
Oh,
But yeah,
absolutely. I'll give
he
that to
played
you.
really well.
Yeah, that was really fantastic. And I mean, going back to Nuke again, I mean, a little bit different from Inferno in terms of the cadence. Obviously, like there was a lot more back and forth. There were some places where, again, with not a lot of background on Montana and not really any specific expectations, there were some rounds where they just absolutely shut you down. And we
Yeah.
thought like, oh man, this is a team that can really challenge for some of these top spots. So was there any like major adjustments other than what you mentioned you did on Inferno with a little bit of settling, get the op to alter, anything that really kind of stood out to you there?
I think the difference between the first half of our T side and the second half of our T side on Nuke was the change of pace, and the change of
For
pace
sure.
really threw them for a loop. We kind of played a little passive at the start. We kind of just like did our normal defaults, and we do our normal defaults for teams that we know are good at taking the map control on Nuke, which is especially like outside control and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
we were giving a lot of we were just giving a lot of credit to Montana just in their unknown state of they could be really freaking good. But once we realized that there were some spots in their defense that we could exploit, we definitely took control of that, and picking up the pace was the biggest part of that.
Absolutely, and I think that was really clearly illustrated. And one thing that we noted a couple times was, I think it was Texas Toast that was playing in mini, peeking outside, somehow got away with throwing a grenade as one of you were peeking and just got away from it every time. And I was like, there's no way that this is supposed to be there. So I'll give a little bit of a chance, a little bit of the conservative play there. That was great. And I'd also like to give big ups to Remy coming back. I mean, obviously in Inferno, it was like you see Alter, you see Remy, Alter, Remy. It was like a machine and one that was so repeatable. So it's got to be coming from the Montana perspective, like literally hitting a brick wall and
Yeah.
just super frustrating. I know that's what the effect that you guys are going for. Be oppressive, bully teams
Yeah.
as much as you can. So I appreciate that immensely. It
Yeah,
was a pleasure to watch, you know.
Remy, the season 3 all-star captain, sends his regards for that.
Oh,
Love to see it. Well, hey, it was great to see you back. It was great as an opening match for it. It really set the tone for what to expect over the season. We're very much so looking forward to those upcoming matches where we're going to see you back against the DePauls, the Yukons, see what kind of improvements we may have seen over the winter and see if we can get a little bit of revenge there. So
Yeah.
very much appreciate that. So
Yeah,
as always,
if Diligent's still in the chat, hey, we still have the only map taken
oh,
off of DePaul. So
oh.
big ups.
we're still coming for that. So
We love it. All right. Well, as always, as is tradition, I'll give the floor to you now. Anybody that you want to shout and recognize this week?
yeah, I mean, shout out to the team. They played great this week. Shout out to a couple of the Marquette fans that I saw in the chat. It's always good seeing the support from them. And then yeah, I mean, just shout out to the whole Marquette esports in general, just because we've been grinding, and being student run is very hard. And so we just want to keep hitting the ground running and keep going. So yeah. National Marquette Day tomorrow, so we're gonna take a little break and have a little fun. So yeah,
Much appreciated. Great showing. Very much so looking to seeing you come back and maybe take another W next week. So thank you so much for your time. Thanks everybody for watching. We will be right back with University of Idaho versus RIT. Of Idaho versus RIT. University of Idaho is a new team to EGFC Season 4, so we're not really sure what to expect from them. RIT has been sort of a middle of the pack team as it relates to their fall circumstances. Very excited to see that. I'm very excited to be here with my new casting partner taking over for Nerds Corners, Laggy Sun. How you doing, bud?
Oh, I'm doing great. I've been silently watching the action all night, taking notes. So hopefully we can provide some sort of useful commentary along the way.
Very excited to see all of that come together. And I'm very interested to see what these teams are going to do with what they have for us. We're going to start off on Inferno here. As you can see, Idaho has taken the T side. RIT is going to start off on the CT side. So we're going to see probably some early aggression, I would guess. It's always good to set off that pace, that tone for the whole map. So Idaho favoring going towards the A site. You can see them spread out a little bit here, trying to earn some space, while RIT going for the typical 3-2 split, 3 over to A site, and the number 2 player, Ning So, the new captain for the RIT team, looking down banana, trying to find any information. the fact that he hasn't seen anybody is going to tip off RIT to the fact that they're favoring that A site. And you can see already there are 4 players on the RIT team there, but it doesn't matter because 2 of them go down immediately, make that 3. CS6, the captain of the Idaho team, is going to find 3 opening kills. The entirety of the RIT squad sitting on the A site completely decimated, leaving just Ning So to try to make something of it. Frosty Knox falls victim to him. A second comes in from the RIT captain. 8 Plant is now down. There are 2 players left on the University of Idaho, and something that seemed like a sure thing just a few seconds ago, now not quite as certain.
Yeah, kind of like all of a sudden, there's 1 member on RIT, and they just had to kind of see what they could do. Unfortunately, unable to pull it out.
Almost, though. They did an honorable effort to try to get something there, so I very much appreciated whenever that happens. And so Idaho opening off their league debut pretty strongly, and now we can see RIT choosing to go super aggressively, the classic nade down mid and rush, and it doesn't seem like Idaho was really prepared for it. They turned around, but too late. 3 of them already going down. CS6 coming from that alt mid position is going to be able to come in, clean it up, and keep it alive. But now just Weedles and Ning So once again, still not really in a certain position, but in a weird twist of irony, the Ning So ends up with a better weapon, but it isn't enough to take on the MP7 from Weedles. So a lot of aggression from both sides there, and something that could have been absolutely disastrous for the RIT team, but they keep it together, they pull it back out, and so University of Idaho is up 2-0.
Yeah, did you notice 8 Plant had a Negev that round?
I mean, yeah, that's a classic second round strat for I guess if you really just want to make sure you're taking things slow and steady, that's a way to do it. And now 8 Plant, as a result of that, is on the Galil instead of an AK. But I don't know. Surprisingly, Idaho seeming to be completely comfortable with the pressure here. Sticks on that Idaho team, their captain, has definitely come out as that immediate top fragger. You can see some kills traded here going in favor of RIT, now up 4-2, making that 3-2. But a lot of health taken off that University of Idaho team. You can see Legend is aware of somebody there in balcony, and they're just waiting. But the bomb is down at the bottom of Banana, so you can see both of those RIT players just hunting and looking and waiting for someone to pop into those crosshairs. And unfortunately, that is not a great place to be for Idaho because they're just 1 or 2 bullets away from death. So even if they get one of their smokes down there, going to grab the bomb, a little bit of a spray through that is going to spell disaster for them. You can see that there, that smoke. I don't know if that reached far enough to get it. The bomb is a little bit further, a little bit safer, but that's now a 3v1, and that one is 7 HP. So that's going to be round number 1 in favor of RT.
Yeah, I mean, we saw earlier tonight, not a 2-0, but a 4-0 victory, and then what happens after that lead sort of starts to collapse. So we'll see if Idaho can sort of pull in the reins and continue their lead.
No more free meals, exactly. And I think Idaho, again, we didn't really know what to expect from them coming into this. Brand new team, not a lot of information other than what we can see from their Faceit ranks and a little bit of background on them. Sticks the highest rank on that team, I think, at Faceit level 6, while the rest of his team were at that kind of 2, 3, 4 level that suggests either they don't play Faceit very often or they solo queue a lot, both of which are great ways to get a lower number when it comes to that. So there was an early pick from Idaho onto RIT. RIT tries to return the favor. Sticks, that frag leader from the Idaho team, is going to go down, and Get Wrecked is going to escape with just 15 HP back to the A site. And you can see all of the Idaho team, despite their lesser guns, are really focusing on that A site. You can see that the last player trying to make it through the A apartments, not going to be successful as RIT just settles into that defensive position. You're going to tie it up 2-2. And now we're going to get back to what should be not a great buy from RIT, frankly. You can see the weapons not as strong as I'm sure that they would hope.
No, definitely not. I mean, Ning So stuck with that MP9. As much as I love the gun, definitely not what you want when the rest of your team is full buying.
So you can see lots more counter utility coming out of this. You see the Idaho team just trying to really find any damage that they can. Those scouts down mid are going to be very, very helpful in terms of just chipping away at that damage. And you can see, just looking down the left side of the screen there, Get Wrecked, Ningso, and Chu Tang all taking early damage. The same is also true for Idaho. So not really clear who was the winner of those early volleys back and forth, but you can see Idaho now spending more of their time in banana. Unfortunately, that flash comes just short of where they would want it to, but it doesn't matter because no one's at the top of banana. So RIT is retired into the B bomb site. They're going to be looking for any information they can. Chu Tang is going to take off the lurker, and it's going to give a complete confirmation that University of Idaho is at least committing to the approach to B. They still have the opportunity to come out, which they may choose to do now. Sticks takes out Chu Tang, who was on the flank there. That's going to give them a signal that maybe someone else is coming, or maybe there's a chance to create some space. And you can see that's triggering GetWrecked to just not be really certain where to go. He's already back almost all the way to the A site before he thinks better of it and comes back. The nades raining down into B is going to be enough for the RIT team to commit that rotate back to the B site. Frosty Knox here with a P90, an incredibly annoying gun, is going to do quite a bit of work for the Idaho team, but it isn't going to be enough. RIT walks away with 3 rounds and the lead for the first time this game.
Yeah, definitely. At one point there, I thought Idaho was just going to pick them off one by one as they were coming back to the site sort of staggered. I saw like Legend and someone else. I didn't know if they'd be able to take them 2-on-1.
Yeah, it's a really tough battle, especially when you're under-equipped and running into this position of like people now are playing this back and forth game of what do you expect? Where's everybody going to go? Where do we put our resources? And that's kind of what we just saw there. Chu Tang ending the round with a literal bang, taking out Pete Martell, the sub for the Idaho team today. So Idaho is in this position where the money's not super great. They're opting, it doesn't matter. We're going to try for it anyways. They do have enough to put a little bit of utility out there, and they actually did manage an op for Pete. So assuming that Pete is going to be their designated opper for the day, he could be the difference maker as it relates to the start of the new chapter, the second half of this T side for Idaho. And it's going to be super crucial. We saw how Remy and Alter from the Marquette team were so dominant playing from top of mid and banana. So the opposite can be true on the T side, of course. And notably, the RIT team does not have any ops currently out on the field. Get Wrecked, getting into that sneaky position, pushing all the way down in mid, Sticks, not even expecting to see anybody there. Man, that's a tough position to be in. Legend just looking through the smoke. Oh man, that is a terrible, terrible, sad thing to have to deal with, and it happens every time. Those feet just betray you. That smoke is not perfectly flat, so of course you're going to run into those situations where anybody that's looking closely is going to find that. So Get Wrecked is going to close out that round for RIT, and they're starting to walk away with a stronger lead here. We can see, economically speaking, they've got a pretty good bang. Get Wrecked on almost $13,000 is going to make sure that they can take some risks. They can be a little bit more aggressive and not really have to worry about the consequences as much. Whereas Idaho really struggling to put together a consistent buy. And once again, RIT just continuing to push down mid. They're coming down. There isn't even a gun out to help them. And because of those mollies that were thrown by the B protectors there's a ton of damage going down. And that banana just becomes an absolute death trap for the entire Idaho team. So now just Pete, that sub, is trying to find something. Legend with the op, a new addition to the team, courtesy of Idaho in the previous round, is going to give yet another round to the RIT Tigers. And the Vandals looking like they're struggling now that they've gotten through these opening rounds, and we see the timeout as a result of that. I think overall, Idaho is got the ability to answer the frags from RIT. I think where they have been beat up is you see a lot of that aggression towards mid, and because there's somebody like Chu Tang, or I think even Get Wrecked in that last round, just came through very quickly. They haven't really been able to contend with that dual-pronged approach attack.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you just watch that last map of Inferno that we had with our other matchup. You'll notice something similar happening. You know, Idaho starting off strong 2-0, and there goes 6 unanswered. I think. Correct me if I'm
It
wrong,
is.
but I think that's what just
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, it is. And that's a tough spot to be when you're trying to think about, we spoke in the last two rounds, Nerds and I, a lot about how that momentum is so important to the team. And I mean, like, if you ever play a matchmaking game, you can go up like 11-0, but if you lose that next round and then you lose the round after that, it starts to spiral and it can really get into it. Even if like you don't really feel the mental weight of it yet, it can be really devastating. So this is, I think, definitely the right call from Idaho to go the timeout.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of separates like the good teams from the great ones. You know, it's one thing if you have
Yeah.
a streak, but it's another thing if you can pull yourself out of a rut and win the game. So we'll see what Idaho can do here.
That's such a great point. I think it is. It's always more challenging to play from behind. But I mean, on the other hand, you can also get into that position of like if you're far enough ahead, you get too comfortable and you're playing to protect the lead as opposed to playing to win. That can lead inadvertently to some challenges, And I don't know that that'll be the case here with RIT. I mean, looking back at their record across the fall season, they've had some moments of like pure shine where they've been able to perform pretty respectably against some teams that I don't know if we expected as much. And I got to give them credit for that. So back into the action, 6-2 in favor of RIT. The University of Idaho team has opted for a little bit more utility. They slowed things down just a little bit, I think, with the intention of making sure that they didn't get any more surprises coming from that top mid area. And as a result of that, they've actually done a pretty good amount of damage to GetWrecked, who's playing that top mid position. They've given up a little bit of health as a trade for it, but I think that they're going to take that over losing an early body every time, as I certainly would. They've kind of gone back to this A well that worked obviously really well for them in the first round as they were waterfalling out with pistols. So it looks like they're trying for a more measured approach, but there is that op from the Legend watching those A halls. So if they notice them ahead of time, especially if they're going to dry peek this, there's 3 of them there. This could be a careful. Oh, the timing is going to save at least one of their lives because that molly is way better than an op shot to the dome. But that could have gone really poorly, especially because it looked like they were stacking up ready for a double peak. And that's a recipe for a collateral more frequently than not.
Yeah, it looks like they quickly decided that A was not the move. They're all rushing down banana right now. Looks like it's going to be like a 4v1 here.
Oh, but I don't know if Idaho is really prepared for that. And they didn't. Oh, no, they didn't smoke off CT. That's going to. Oh, no, the pincer. They somehow are still. What is happening? This is not how this is supposed to work. No, he's not behind the
Oh, definitely not.
Oh, no. Oh, the Legend just picks poorly in terms of his priority targeting. And the bomb does go down for Idaho, so that's going to be a victory for them, at least to a degree. But Weedle's now trying from the back of the spike to try to just do something, and he almost does enough damage to pull that back in their favor. That is one of those situations where their continued strategy of just like buy every time, which Idaho so far has been either they're buying full, they're buying light and sacrificing utility. You gotta have a smoke there, or you have to plan either behind the fountain in the center of sight or over by coffins, or knowing that Legend is sitting around with an op, like you're gonna get picked every time. It was just incredibly fortunate for them that Legend decided to pick the person at the front of sight instead of the back. And we can see RIT once again trying to push up mid and getting punished for it. That's Pete Martell on that op is going to take out both GetWrecked and Shu Tang. And so we're going to see some smokes dropped over as the quick rotate is going to come out for A, because now it's just the Legend with the op trying to hold on to sight. Idaho moving quickly to try to take advantage of the numbers that they had on A, but I don't think it's going to be enough. They are going to find their way onto site, but that's Legend with the op, and he finds the first one, but not the second. It's Frosty able to answer, take him out from the middle of site. That's going to leave 2 players from the RIT side miles apart from one another, but it may not matter because Frag Daddy finds CS6. He finds Pete Martell. That's 2 off the board. That's making it a 2v2, and all of a sudden, this 4v2 that looked almost certain for Idaho to bring up their 3rd point of the map is now in question. Frosty Knox sitting in that back pit position is going to peek, finds Frag Daddy. They know where Ningso is in the smoke, and now all he's got to do is buy some time. Don't you dare peek from behind that wall. You just sit there and waste time, and Frosty Knox. What an individual effort there to keep that round alive. I'm not going to lie to you. I had my doubts.
Yeah, they stopped the bleeding. There it is. Only 7 unanswered. Way better than the 16 we saw before. I'm going to keep bringing it up. But, yeah, here we go. Idaho with the start of momentum, perhaps.
That's exactly what we're hoping for, and I wish them all the best in it, mostly because I'm a big fan of the game. I am myself an RIT alumni. I am one of them Tigers, but I root for the game most of the time. Sometimes for the players, you just can't help it. So what we're seeing here is a renewed approach from RIT to the aggression. They're peaking that alt mid position. They're getting a little bit more from it. You see they're once again trying to push down mid proper, and Legend actually all the way from Banana comes through, and because Idaho has just failed to secure these different vectors of approach, RIT knows they can get away with these cheeky peaks, run down wherever there isn't a body and just sit, and eventually one of those Idaho players are going to push past it. They're going to give you the opportunity to give you a free frag, and that has happened now I think 4 or 5 out of the 8 rounds that RIT has won. So Idaho playing from behind has got to stabilize. They have to make sure that what they did in that previous round, getting that 3rd round on the board, has to continue, and a lot of that's coming from patience, protecting their flanks, and making sure that they're prepared for the RIT aggression. Once again, Legend getting aggressive, trading the op for the M4 now is actually continuing to press for that. And instead of retiring back, he goes for a second. So a little bit of greed, but not punished because of the lack of armaments on the Idaho side. Getrek comes in for that support position, and Frosty Knox, the only survivor on that Idaho team, only has a Tech 9 and the no scope.
Jeez.
That's a rough order for our boys in yellow.
Yeah, I mean, RIT has started to play way more confidently than the start of this map. Like, they know what they want to do. I feel like they have a really solid plan of attack, and they're just sort of executing every round, bar that one.
They really are, and props to them. I mean, again, we saw RIT had the misfortune, I think, of playing against a lot of really difficult teams through the fall season. And as a result of that, their record has gotten beat up because, you know, when you're playing against teams like UConn or DePaul, they're just incredibly dominant. We've seen that today. I mean, we watched UConn against DePaul, and DePaul was able to brush it off in the end. Marquette mentioned in Mig's interview that they were the only ones that have actually taken a map off DePaul so far this season. And so RIT up against these juggernauts has had a real tough time. So this is their first opportunity, I think, to really kind of set a tone for how they want to play their game. And Idaho doing their best and putting out some pretty decent performances. Again, it's just some of those minor communication things that have led to some huge plays from RIT. But as we can see here, we're seeing Idaho kind of coagulate around the bomb site. Unaware of that is going to make this a 2v1, but both 8 plant and CS sticks are here. So they're in pretty good position. All they have to do is just wait.
Yeah, I mean, they got it down. It's all in Ningso's hands right now. Looks like he's going to save wisely. He's got that op in his hands.
Run away and keep it. Run for your lives. Both sticks and 8 plant able to walk away with their lives, and more importantly with their weapons. Saving that op is going to save them a ton of money. And we saw in that round Pete Martell able to find that opening frag into top mid. That's going to open things up a lot. It also sends a great warning shot across the bow to RIT that says, you stay out of mid, we know that you're coming, we're watching it, stay back, give us some room. And that is really where Idaho has seen the success.
Yeah, for sure.
So we see Idaho here playing it pretty slowly, conservatively. I think they're a little traumatized from the efforts that we've seen from RIT. We see that flash over into Banana, but RIT so far, perhaps out of respect for the last round and how they got punished from that, are playing a little bit further back. We see some of those smokes coming in. Idaho's utility, oh no, it's going to leave a gap in there. That could be bad if Idaho chooses to commit to that. But they're kind of following this combined efforts, but not having guns out is never a recipe for success. And Chutang, playing from that window position, is able to find 2 out of the 3 players on A. 1 player out of that. And now lots of trading going on as RIT maintains the advantage. And that nade, what a throw. Doing excellent. I can't believe Legend got away. I was really expecting those feet to give them away before it even got in there. So
I was thinking the same thing.
Just a little tough moment, but those happen. Ultimately, I mean, we've talked about this before. Everybody knows Inferno on the CT side easier than the T side, especially if you're dealing with just some of those things that were mistakes. I mean, just straight up mistakes, and that happens. It's not really a skill issue. It's just, it happens. RIT walking away with 10 is a great position for them to be in. If they can make this 11, they're going to be even happier going into the T side. That's a lot of pressure off of their shoulders. But Idaho is looking to play spoiler. I don't know if they see him behind car. Ning So gets his first one for free just sitting there. It's going to be that 1-for-1 trade. University of Idaho are learning wisely from the last time that they took on site. They got to throw those smokes off. But again, RIT is just so fast on these flanks, and they didn't check for Church, and that is going to end the half for RIT up 11-4. Huge props to the Tigers there. They were incredibly assertive across that map, and every time they knew that Idaho was committing to a site, their rotations were incredibly fast, like too fast for Idaho to really deal with. And that is going to give them a huge benefit here, because if Idaho manages to win this, you can generally assume that they're going to be able to pick off a second, maybe a third. And that's going to put them back within spitting distance. But RIT built a really great cushion for themselves there. That definitely felt like a knife round strategy, just everybody meet in mid and we'll duke it out. But instead, it goes mostly in favor of RIT. And if there were just a couple more bullets in that CZ, that would definitely be going in favor of Idaho, or at least, a better chance of it. So not the best start for Idaho. Weirdly prepared for the idea of a rush. I shouldn't say weirdly. That makes sense. Meet aggression with other aggression. Not something that we see super often, but I like the creativity. It's kind of like when we see some plays in League of Legends when you've got nothing left and you just want to try something different. Just rush everybody down mid and see what you can take out of it. And that's exactly what they did. Unfortunately, RIT comes out on top there.
Yeah, I mean, Idaho's not worried. They're playing the round after losing a pistol round just like they would any other time. So I feel like they got some composure there. There's no rush to buy SMGs or anything. So
I appreciate that presence of mind. I mean, just like a little bit of upgrade. If he can grab this and just run. I mean, like the Galil is not a great weapon, but it's definitely better than not having a weapon. So you can see him sticking around trying to pick out one of those frags. Unfortunately, not the right call, as the Legend catches him out, pushing that top of banana position. So Idaho is going to walk away with basically nothing to show for that round, except for the save money, which could be enough. We see some P90s, M4s, and a scout on Pete Martell. Not quite enough to pick up that op, which may not really be that necessary. There is no returning or mirror sniper on the RIT side at this point. Just AKs. So they have to deal with that aggression for sure. And you can see Get Wrecked moving up immediately and taking on that P90. That smoke is going to come out as a protection while Ningso finds Weedles over on the sandbags. And Ningso single-handedly taking out the 2 out of 3 players on that B site. And the A players are really helpless to get to that position. They don't really know where the bomb is yet. RIT has to go all the way back to T-ramp to get it. But Chutang and Ningso are just absolutely imposing their will on that B site. And you can see Ningso has gotten all the way into CT spawn. So when that rotation does eventually come in from University of Idaho, as we see it starting now, he's going to be in a great position to just cause absolute pain. wisely, it seems like Idaho has decided that it's not worth the rifles or the rifle and SMG that they have. So they're going to go back and sit on this A site. Unfortunately for them, RIT, the same theme that we've seen from them across the rest of the map, are going hunting. They do not want to allow Idaho any chance of coming back into this. So they've already got 2 people that are going to come in and find Frosty Knox. There is a little bit of a trade, but the backup is coming in, and Nigso, just at the right timing, comes it. Call the janitor because we've got to clean up on aisle 6, and that's it for University of Idaho. RIT now up 14-4. 10-round difference is going to put them in a great position to close out this half and this map.
Yeah, I mean, 8 plant at the end of that round, getting those 2 exit frags, might be the difference that starts this comeback for them. So they still got a couple rounds to play with. We'll see what happens. Never stop believing.
Absolutely. Well, it's a little tough. Ningso imposing his will once again on that B site it's tough. I mean, that's kind of one of those situations where everybody's prepared for some level of aggression, but if everybody's not exactly on the same page, especially when you're dealing with that, hold the phones. Oh no, run the other direction. That almost would have been a great opportunity for, I don't know, the closest thing that we've seen to an ace today, just as a result of picking the bomb out of a crowd, so to speak. Unfortunately, it doesn't go that way. We are now on match point RIT 15-4. Game is on the line. Idaho, not a whole lot to show for their last round, mostly accepting their fates, it seems, by investing in whatever they can, but still finding not a lot of utility. And okay, I'll take that. 8 plant goes for the Negev, fires down mid, finds 1. That's going to be a pretty endearing start to it. However, because of that choice in strategy, there are no players on B, which means they're going to have to play for retake. And that is an incredibly difficult site to do that with, especially if you don't have a lot of utility. So CS6, they're able to just great trigger discipline, finds Ningso on the cross there. So if they're aware of it and they can find this kill, oh my goodness, CS6 is single-handedly saving this round and the match for Idaho. But Legend, he's got something to say about it. Completely blind headshot, of course. What else would it be?
And here's the 1v1. Not for long, though.
Not for long. Pete Martell, the sub for University of Idaho, tries bravely, valiantly to save the match for the Idaho team. Unfortunately, it comes out of it without an extra point on the board. RIT is going to go up 1-0 in this set. We're going to have one more for it. So congrats to the Tigers. Again, my alma mater. Excited to see them finding some success there. And quite a welcome for the Idaho team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not over yet. We got a couple or one more map in us. We'll see what Idaho can show after the break.
Absolutely. We will be right back with the next map. It's going to be Mirage. So stick with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We're about to see map 2 of RIT versus the University of Idaho. University of Idaho, in their initial showing into the EGFC league, having a bit of a rough time. RIT on Inferno, when they were on the CT side, able to kind of bully the Idaho squad as they were trying to figure out what made the most sense for them. And as a result of that, we just ended up seeing a lot of carnage. But there were some bright moments. We saw Pete Martell making some great shots with the sniper down mid. We saw some individual efforts from Sticks on the Idaho team going very, very well when given some space to work. But RIT overall came out super dominating. And once they got that under them, those fast rotations just absolutely spelled defeat for the Idaho Vandals. So we're coming into this round of the pistol. We're going to see if Idaho, starting off on the CT side, is going to be able to repel that. You can see RIT going for that more B default on the first round, and you've got 2 players from the Idaho team coming in there. Weedle's already down to just 20 HP, but Sticks, the previous frag leader and the captain for the Idaho squad, comes through, does find one before losing his life. Ningso cleans him up. And now just 3 players left on the Idaho side for the potential retake. The benefit, they do have those USPs and they've got multiple angles of approach, but unfortunately their numbers are dwindling quickly. Frag Daddy and Get Wrecked put their names on the board alongside that, and they know where the final player is. So a couple volleys back and forth, not going to be enough. Pete Martell, again, that sub for the Idaho team, doing his best to make something out of a bad situation, is going to almost be able to take advantage of that revolver's super long reload time. He asks for the knife and he gets it. Frag Daddy is going to end this round with a little bit of bonus cash, and that is an great opening statement from RIT as they continue with that pace, that momentum that they had on Inferno.
And what do we think about that revolver buy for pistol round?
I myself am just trash with it, but I have seen people do some pretty offensive things with it. So like, I support people and their choice of opening weaponry. I mentioned when we were in Nuke with Marquette, they started with the dualies. And that actually became like a meta thing to do because there was only $350 that you have to spend on that, which is pretty good, especially if somebody drops them to you. So it's I don't know, cost efficient is the right method, but it certainly packs a punch if you got some support on it. See that here again. Chutang and the Legend didn't actually even upgrade because it one shots through armor at close range. So you still got pretty good utility out of it. So RIT starting up 2 rounds on the T side. Idaho is going to want to stabilize as quickly as they can and get as much value as possible out of their CT stint with the Mirage map. RIT going for the middle control is going to spell I don't know, I guess just a lot going to there, but Chutang continuing with the revolver is going to get quite a bit of utility just for sticking with it. It feels very confident with his ability to do so, and this is one of the maps that if you're going to stick with it for a little bit longer, that you're going to have a little bit better of a time. RIT is congregating over on the A site. As you can see that they've taken control of the site. Legend left over as a lurk is going to find Weedles trying to push up Cat, trying to get some information for his remaining teammate. 8 Plant, who's currently sitting in Palace waiting for something to happen because going out there against 2 AKs, the Galil, and that now infamous revolver is a little scary. I personally would not be overly excited about the idea. He doesn't have a smoke, but I was going to say, is he going to go for the ninja diffuse? Oh, but they planted in the middle of the site. That's so smart. That, honestly, if they had planted default behind those triple boxes right out of Palace, that could have been around for Idaho. He got, I think, 2.5 seconds on that defuse before they turned around and realized what was happening. So that bomb plant literally 2 feet to the right, and that is an Idaho round on the board. So pretty interesting to see how that could have worked. But RIT comes out with their 3rd win, and now Idaho once again on an eco round, just trying to get whatever value they can out of the little money that they've invested in their pistols.
Yeah, I mean, what's very notable is that it's now round 4, and Chutang has yet to buy a primary weapon. He's still rocking that revolver, and he's 3-1 to show for it. So
there is a level of confidence, I think, that comes with knowing that you win the pistol round, which you've obviously made the investment into the revolver at that point. You win that, you come back, you can be pretty confident that the other team, if they force into it, are still going to have inferior equipment. And once you win that third round, you know for sure that they're going to be on an eco round after the first buy. So a little bit maybe bad manners from the side of RIT there, but I mean they've got every right to be doing that because they've been very aggressive, and it so far it hasn't been punished. So as they continue on these different rounds, University of Idaho has got to find an answer to that in order to really shut down that kind of approach. And we'll see what they can potentially do now that they've got enough cash to put a real buy together.
yeah, there's definitely like a strategic element to it as well. I feel like you do get that bonus kill cash, I think, from the revolver, unless that's excluded from the other pistols. So it's not just
that's a
all
great
for
question.
show, I think.
I use it so infrequently that I don't know.
Well, do you get it
Let's
on the
see.
deagle?
It gives 300 with it, so there is no bonus for that pistol.
Well, I take it back.
I mean, if for I think it's a $700 investment, that's pretty good.
Oh, definitely.
And it's standard for what you get for any pistol, so 300 per kill is pretty good, except for the CZ is just a $100 bonus. Or, right. Reward is the best way to look at that, I guess. So nothing that you're going to get punished for anyways, but you definitely want to get as much utility out of usually SMGs. As I say that, RIT puts their 5th round on the board against Idaho. Idaho closer that time. I mean, that came down to a 1v1, but not a lot of certainty there, I think you could say. RIT continuing with the game plan that they brought into it, which definitely feels like just keep being aggressive, and until Idaho finds a way to stop this, there's no reason for us to change up the plan. The one thing that I would really like to see from Idaho is more early round counter utility. Right now, there isn't really anything that's preventing RIT, for example, in this case, walking out of the bomb site. They found 8 plant kind of marooned in the middle of site, and there really isn't much that they can do to support it because there's RIT coming from mid. They're coming from all these other positions that they have to turn and pay attention to, because when they don't, suddenly, they have to deal with an off angle, somebody looking the wrong way. It's another free kill. So in my opinion, just based on where the money is, Idaho's got to go into this next round. They have to save. They have to wait until they can get mollies. They can get smokes. They're absolutely crucial keys to victory in making sure that this map, or at least a couple rounds of this map, goes in their favor. Otherwise, RIT is just continue. As I say, I would have saved. Instead, they go for the auto sniper.
Yeah,
it's a choice.
I was gonna say, if I'm Idaho, I think the first thing you want to do is just keep saving until you can have a proper full buy, because it's been at least a few rounds since they've been able to do that, if ever.
Yes, and that unfortunately was their only M4 off the board. Pete Martell, who was on a mostly full save, is going to lose his life as well. They did trade 2 for 3, so maybe I should just shut up because it's working for them. Why do they need to create problems where there aren't any? Somehow GetRag does not find the kill with that op. I don't know if he just got that kind of classic quick scope bug. But it doesn't work out for him, and it gives enough time for Styx to move around into CT. Suddenly, Frag Daddy's the only one left. There are 3 players from the Idaho team all looking in his direction, and Styx finding Frag Daddy under the scaffolding all the way back from Ticket, and that is going to be Idaho's first round on the board. I don't know if I'm ready to say that Idaho is about to turn this around, but the important thing is they've taken that first step. They still have that auto sniper. Did not get a lot of utility. It was not playing on the attacked A site in that position. Difficult to say what to expect. We can see RIT here going for a full revolver save. And that's one of those things where, like, you could think of it as BM, but in reality, like just the absolute pressure of this could be sufficient. And you can see already that auto sniper holding down B is actually going to be enough to get 2. But those revolvers are so strong, especially when you know how to use them, that they're actually able to take that out. And Idaho, who had been cheating some players over towards the A site, is now actually in a worse position because all of a sudden the auto sniper is now in their hands instead of the other way around. And that nade, I can't believe that didn't take off Ningso, but instead it'll be the Molly. So punished RIT is for using the revolvers. There's that desperate attempt, that was Idaho's Molly, I think, that actually ended up blocking them off temporarily. But like I said, temporary. So RIT is going to go down one more round. I think they were willing to give that up. So 2-6. It's a small victory, but an important one for that Idaho team.
Yeah, did they just buy another auto sniper? Or did they carry that over from last round?
They carried it over. I think they picked it up because that's 8 plant again.
Oh,
yeah, they just picked it up after RIT took it off of him from bench.
And they finally have somewhat of a full buy on Idaho's side, maybe for the first time all game. So,
and there's a little bit of utility going down, but unfortunately it doesn't really matter because I take that back. They put down that smoke. Molly comes out as the secondary deterrent for it. That's giving them a little bit more room to breathe, and it has stopped RIT from just rushing onto site and causing the same amount of damage that they had before. And that is super, super important because you can see Idaho feeling significantly more confident to the point where they just shut down RIT. That is literally the textbook definition of why, or rationale is of why utility is so important in those early rounds. Just being able to stop that initial game plan of like rush is going to make a huge difference. And we can see RIT still plenty of money in the bank. It's not going to deter them from the strategy that they've been using, but it might give them a little bit of a pause as they think about how they want to approach continued aggression. And maybe they'll go back to a little bit more of a default. We see some of them pushing towards mid, a little bit of a presence towards B, and then one peeking through Palace there.
Yeah, I mean, it's an extremely expensive buy from Idaho. We got 2 ops and auto sniper. It's there's a lot of power on that team.
They're just going all out with it. I mean, they're balling out. Unfortunately, that is not looking like enough. RIT is coming here with 4 players on the board. They've come out pretty confidently. They found all of the potential threats that they've run into and taken them down. And now they're in these better positions where they can hold these off angles. They can make the rotation significantly more dangerous. And because Idaho is kind of forced into these back positions, and worse because they're using these scoped weapons, they don't have anything to deal with threats like that. So Ningso comes in from behind, knifes our buddy in the back there, and that is the op off the table. 8 Planet does currently have the auto sniper, and it looks like RIT will be. Oh no, it could have been great. They could have held on to that, but that's probably better than risking giving the auto sniper to RIT, who could use that for bullying, which is bad. We don't support that here. I like RIT's chances to continue with what they have been building towards. They have a huge amount of bank. They've been very aggressive. The aggression has worked very well. Idaho, I think, were pretty confident in their double scope or triple scope strategy in that last round. They got burned for it here, though. So they did opt to go back to just 2, and actually works out. You can see Frosty Knox and Pete Martell up on that kill board getting those initial kills, and that's 3 in favor of Idaho so far pretty early in the round. Again, opening 30 seconds, that aggression for RIT is a double-edged sword. It's like the glass cannon approach. They are very aggressive, put down as much damage as they can, try to bully people onto site. But if they have someone that's able to dig in their heels, kind of put that that post up and really stop that momentum, it can become really dangerous very quickly. And as a result of that, University of Idaho is found their 4th round, and RIT is seeing that gap shrink a little bit. It's no longer the unanswered rounds that they were used to experiencing in those opening areas. Now Idaho's being able to find some of it gifted from RIT, just some of the decisions that they've made have made it a lot easier. But other times it's individual plays like this from Sticks, finding Get Wrecked, trying to push out directly from Palace. Not any utility being used there, which again, not super comfortable for it. I would much rather see that happening on both sides, even when using the auto sniper, but that isn't the case. RIT taking revenge for Get Wrecked. They're going to find 3 kills, and there's going to be 1 trade coming back into it. University of Idaho down to just 2 players, but they seem to be feeling pretty confident in their ability to hold steady, holding that connector position, knowing that the bomb could go in any direction at this point. You can see Fried Daddy on the B site putting down the bomb, and you can see Sticks and everybody just trying to check for it and look. But the RIT lurk from top of mid is going to spell disaster for Pete Martell, and that's going to leave just Sticks from the position. He's going to try to push up Cat, but caught with a nade out. Fried Daddy puts an end to the round. RIT goes back to increasing that gap that was before shrinking, and 8-4, 12 rounds into this. How are you feeling about it so far, Laggy?
Well, I was gonna say, these weird loadouts that Idaho's running on most of these rounds, it's starting to, like, at least in a couple of situations, it's making RIT at least think a bit. You know, like when they run out with triple scope, quad scope, you can't just play against them like you would any other team. I feel like you at least have to adapt a tiny little bit. So they can continue putting on that pressure, keep the noggin working for RIT. They might be able to squeeze out some more rounds.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the name of the game for this. It's such a fast-paced game overall. You know, you've only got a couple minutes in each round. You know, less than 2 minutes and 20 seconds to really think through exactly what you're going to do, get your equipment on board, get your game plan, and then go execute on it. So if something's not working, you have to be able to turn it around and try to figure a way to adapt that. And so far, RIT has been better at doing so. They haven't had to do it quite as much. But in the couple of rounds that Idaho has won, that were very clearly just Idaho kind of winning out in those gun battles or finding the right position to hold steady from, they've done a great job where they can. However, RIT has maintained that advantage, and they're continuing to do so here. Pete trying really desperately to get whatever he can, but Legend just playing from that cubby, going to make it really annoying to try to find some of that damage. And he has ended up closing out the round. So 9-4 for RIT. Going to put Idaho continuing on their back foot after finding just like that little bit of hope, just enough to reset their loss bonus. But unfortunately, or sorry, I shouldn't say that, reduce their loss bonus. They don't reset it anymore the way that they used to. So Idaho is going to come into this still with like a little bit of cash, but not enough to really put together a complete buy or effort. So we see them pushing aggressively up mid. You can see Frag Daddy able to push up Cat, and that's going to get around them. That is a 2-for-1 trade. Made that a 3-for-1 in favor of RIT. But, you know, there's a lot going back and forth and making the best out of those MP9s that is going to give a pretty reasonable return for the investment there. It's $600 for every MP9 kill, you know, your standard SMG weapon kill bonus. And that's not going to give them a lot more to work with, but it's going to give them enough where they feel like they could buy. Without the auto sniper that 8plant had on there, the focus definitely has got to go back to that utility. Again, every time that they were using utility, that they slowed down RIT from whatever that initial aggression was, they performed much better. You see some smokes, some mollies on their side. That's good news for Idaho. Hopefully that means that they can find some success.
Yeah, and definitely a more standard buy from Idaho this round.
Absolutely. Legend and RIT just stomping all over the map, finding just those individual Idaho players kind of stuck in different positions. And RIT, once they get into those kind of odd places, right, you know, they're now holding Murder Hole here, or they're pushing into Marquette when they're not expected. Any of those types of things can be really problematic. Bragg Daddy makes a mistake there, ends up getting caught on the wall, so they give Sticks a free, or sorry, that was Ningso that ultimately met his demise there, as 8Planet was trying to make that rotation over from the B site. RIT is going to go back, pick up the bomb, and Sticks in a position where he could put up a fight. It's going to be whether he finds Get Wrecked and Get Wrecked finds him instead. So RIT is going to end this half 11-4 and not really looking like they're all that concerned.
No, definitely not. Like they're putting on a clinic. They got their ideas, their strategies. They're executing every round. Couple of hiccups, you don't expect to run into an auto sniper, 2 ops, and 2 AKs from a CT team. That'll mess you up a little bit, but they course corrected, and here they are.
Now we get to see if Idaho on the attacking side now can find some brilliance in some strategy that they've had saved. It's Mirage. They had the opportunity to start out on the C side. They didn't make the most of it, but they are trying to do so on the T side. Unfortunately, their aggression out of B doesn't really net them as much of a delay as I am sure they were hoping to. But big brain play there. They know RIT rotates super quickly and super aggressively, so they were able to take advantage of that, put one of their players alongside the bomb, have that duo run, plant the bomb, see what they can build from it. So it doesn't look like they're going to end this round with a W, but they did get the plant down. So that's $800 in the bank. That's going to give them a little bit more flexibility for their second round buy strategy.
Yeah, I mean, RIT wins pistol round. Usually the way it works is if you win pistol round, you win the round after that. So in the meantime, if I'm Idaho, I'm saving. I'm gonna keep saving until I can't save no more, or until I can full buy, and then hopefully we'll be able to pull off another what I would call Idaho buy and shake up the meta a little bit and see if we can pull it back.
Idaho buy.
Yeah.
You do see a little bit of investment. 8Planet really seems to like those kind of memey guns. We saw the auto sniper on the CT side, and now he's got the sawed off coming back into it. Not able to really make much use of it. Not really sure why you opted for that over like a Tech 9 or maybe like an auto shotty. The difference isn't all that much in terms of your investment. Especially because most of the places that you're going to find those engagements, unless you're going Palace or maybe looking for under, are going to be longer distances. And even on the buy, he's going with the sawed off again. So again, I'm not totally sure what. I assume it's a comfort pick for him of some kind. Not what I would have chosen for utility, but they have all decided that they're going to go A. So maybe there's some opportunities to just go in, put down a one shot somewhere and see what you can do from there. But Legend, on the other hand, has the same exact ID with the Nova. Able to find the first one. Sticks, unfortunately, commits some friendly fire before going down to Frag Daddy. So that leaves just Frosty Knox with the AK against 4 players. There is only 8 HP on Frag Daddy, so that's something. He does find Shu Tang. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that he could make this happen. He finds Get Wrecked through the flames. That's huge. And Ning So, unfortunately, going down to that Molly. So with 5 HP and a dream, a story of a young boy traveling from, well, I guess, Idaho.
Yeah.
Dang. What it could have been a Cinderella story. Could have been something great. Unfortunately, not the case. RIT up at a familiar score from what we've seen in the past, 14-4, difference of 10 rounds. Idaho on the back foot, continuing to try to find something. 8Planet really determined to find some value out of those sawed-off shotguns. Is going to once again buy. I do not know exactly what his plan is, but it looks like he's just throwing a bunch of utility over A. They're trying to once again draw off that rotation, but RIT seems smart to the concept, or at least confident that their 2 anchors on the A site can manage it. And you see Chu Tang going back and forth in mid, playing in that connector position. He doesn't buy it. He's going to push through that. And you see Get Right pushing under and just devastates Frosty Knox and Sticks. And so that's the bomb down with the rest of the team super far away. And now they have to go down this incredibly small hallway right into the crosshairs of Chu Tang. And that's going to be just one player left. Frosty Knox not able to find anything to close out that round, not even a consolation kill. So we find ourselves University of Idaho at 4 and Rochester Institute of Technology on game point.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough when you're a team up or at a 4-15 situation. But, maybe now's the time to, or it would have been a time to take a timeout. Think about what's been working in those 4 rounds that you won, and see if you can replicate that. I mean, it's not over.
It's never over. As long as there's a single round on the board and a breath in somebody's lungs, that is sufficient to potentially win a round. And we can see here that could be what's happening. There's a bit of return that Nade does some work. 2 kills on the board for Idaho this round, but the legend running around with that LMG is going to have something to say about it. So now it is just sticks between his team and defeat, and he is going to able to find legend through the box. That's going to be something that's super important, but now he's kind of trapped at the top of boxes, and he's just got to hope and pray that he can find those frags before they find him. And he does the first one. He's got all this work done. He's got 8 HP and a dream. Ning So has run all the way back to Marquette, and he is determined to catch him off guard. You can see he ran all the way around to Marquette to get that window position, and that's so smart, because Six not expecting it at all. You could see with the knife out there, just trying to get somewhere, anywhere at all. It is not enough. Rochester Institute of Technology, again, my Tigers, my beloved, my alma mater, walking away with a W there, 16-4 score line. Idaho put up their best efforts, and again, throughout both of those maps, there were moments where you're like, all right, Idaho, let's go. Let's get some snaps, some claps for them. But unfortunately, in the end, it wasn't enough to stop the torrential wave, just the absolute tsunami that was RIT in those maps. So how'd you feel about it, lad? It was the first time on cast with us. First time feeling pretty good about it?
Yeah, I mean, despite the scoreline, there was some interesting things to keep track of. I definitely think Idaho's got to take a look at these VODs, notice what worked. You know, if you can throw a team on their heels for like 3 or 4 rounds because you bought 4 scoped rifles, there might be something to work with there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see if RIT has somebody to come in and spend some time with us, talk about what that victory means to them. But in the meantime, we'll take a quick break. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Stay tuned. Hopefully we'll be back for an interview shortly. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Chu Tang from the victorious Tigers, the RIT squad, making a huge statement in their debut coming into the spring split. Very excited to have you with us. Thanks for joining us. As always, got Laggy Sun with me as well. So, Chu Tang, you come in here, you have a couple, we'll say, stagger steps in those opening rounds against Idaho, but ultimately come away with a pretty convincing victory. How does it feel to come in with that, especially coming off a fall season where you didn't end up at the bottom, but you're more in that kind of midfield, still competing for something there?
You know, we were talking about it a lot in the comms that a lot of that we spent pretty much the entirety of that fall split kind of getting that exact result given to us. I believe like our first game was against DePaul and we lost like
Yeah.
16-3, 16-2, something like that. And I mean, I'm glad that we showed improvement, especially in that rematch against DePaul to end the fall split. We didn't win. I think we still kind of lost kind of convincingly, but we made it a lot closer than it was before. So I think for us, it's just good to be kind of back in winning ways a lot more, and it's like a big confidence boost. Really, we'll see how it holds up against Marquette because I mean, they seem to be still like one of the stronger teams, so we'll see what happens then.
Yeah, we were coming into this looking at we've got teams, Idaho being one of them, and Marquette facing off against the second new team this time around in Montana, and not really knowing what to expect. We're very interested to see how everyone was reacting. So, we've got 9 more weeks of competition total, including this week. So I'm pretty excited to see it. You guys definitely, and we noted this in week 8, there was a notable improvement from the squad from week 1. Again, we definitely threw you to the wolves in that first one. I knew coming into that DePaul is a scary machine that just chews everybody up and spits them out. Even against UConn, like they've been pretty good. So very excited to see that, and very, very excited to see that improvement so far.
All right, yeah, thank you. I mean, we did also we've had our own change of teams. I know that you guys have changed teams a lot. 'Cause obviously, Idaho's one of the new ones. Our previous captain, unfortunately, he's gone to a different school in the area. So we flagged him up. I mean, Frag Daddy's done well, so I can shout him out for just coming in. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so after like getting this win today, what sort of things are you feeling, with the record being the way that it is? How does that like affect you guys mentally? What are you gonna think like moving forward into your next games? Like how does this affect stuff with the team morale?
I think it's gonna put us at a high point, but I think we also understand that. I mean, Idaho is probably not going to be one of the strongest teams here, but I think it proves that we can actually close out a game if we're hitting our shots. And especially with Inferno, I mean, it was the same score on Inferno map, but our Inferno seems like to be our strongest map in general. So I think we can actually, if we bring that into like other games, we can win that one pretty well. So morale is high, and we're probably gonna still get like more games after this too, because we're kind of gonna we're all about getting as much game time as possible and as much
Absolutely.
improvement on.
You're feeling it. I was
Mhm.
gonna note on Inferno, one of the things that I think really sort of set the tone was the really successful teams that we see in the league, and this is true, basically everywhere, is once you got to that point where you could be really, really aggressive and mid, shut them down all the way back to T ramp, really like just make them feel very small was really good. But I think more importantly, you were incredibly fast on your rotates, and not just your rotates, but your counter rotates in flanks. So is
Mhm.
that something that you are explicitly trying to plan, or is that something that's just a product of the aggression that you're trying to bring to the game?
I think most of the time it's just that as players we're normally very aggressive, and I have to think a lot of the time it's because our Legend 45 Acmo, he's like an incredible anchor, especially on the A site on Inferno site. He allows us to get away with that because I remember one
Yeah.
time we died in mid, and he just got 3 coming up mid right on, and even Get Wrecked. He was good. One round he pushed down T spawn, saw nobody, came back and got a triple into the boiler. So I
Yeah.
mean, we kind of are like we kind of bank on the fact that our anchors are really good, and we kind of play off the aggression that way, knowing that there is kind of a fallback if things go wrong.
Pretty great.
I think a lot of times, especially on Inferno, there's some rounds where I think me personally, I was kind of getting really punished for that. Like they were hitting
Mm.
some crazy shots on me. But
Yeah.
overall, yeah. But overall, I think it works out mainly because it's just our style, and we're still working on incorporating Frag Daddy into the team because he's trying to take over all the roles that were previously on someone else.
Makes total sense to me. And you mentioned Inferno, probably your best, most successful map, at least in terms of rounds won. Are you kind of angling towards, for example, Anubis, new to the map pool, Dust 2, rest in peace, is gone?
Yeah.
Are you kind of favoring other maps that you really want to bring more to, or maybe that are a little bit lower on that tier list for you that you think are good opportunities for improvement?
I don't know if we're necessarily bringing into Anubis. I think we might float it sometimes if another team just wants to pick into it. But if we're gonna play a map, it's probably gonna be Nuke or Inferno, right?
Another new
That'll
team.
be
All
those
right,
would be
I'll
our
take that. I
maps, right?
respect it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah.
All right. Well, hey, we really appreciate the insights for it. It was great to see. Again, very excited to see my alma mater win. Very excited to just continue to see the improvement that we, saw started in the fall coming over. Love that patch. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's fun. Seeing the dorm room brings a lot of memories for, where I spent 4 out of my 6 years of my life in school there. So big ups to you. Big ups to the team.
Thank you.
Last thing, as always, give the stage to you. Anybody that you want to give a shout out or recognize this
All
week?
right, I would like to give a shout out to my brother who's been watching your stream all the time and also my streams. And of course, because I didn't mention him in the interview by name, like I did my other teammates, Ning, you've been great. So I have to, I didn't say him, I didn't want to leave him out, so I have to let him here. Yeah, obviously I would like to thank my family because I'm actually really shocked. 'Cause I didn't think my parents would be like really into this, like
Mhm.
actually playing this like in some competitive stand, and they were actually really supportive about it. They've actually asked me like even without this if I ever wanted to go pro. So I mean I have to thank them as well. So
That's
yeah,
awesome. You love to
yeah.
hear it. Love to see that support, and love to see the win again. I'm just gonna keep touting that, just so that pride of the Tiger in me still. So we are gonna call that a night for everybody. Chu Tang, thank you again, and congratulations to the team. Congratulations to the rest of the squads that won this evening. Don't forget, tomorrow we've got League of Legends at the Big East kicking off at 1 p.m. here on official EGF and Big East League of Legends. So if you're in to those silly MOBAs, it's another opportunity to see what's going on. So with that, thank you, Laggy. Thank you, Chu Tang. It has been a pleasure. Huge broadcast. Love to see it back. Can't wait to see the rest of the spring. Have a great evening, everyone, and a great weekend. Take care.